Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
How would you like to make no mortgage payments for 2 months? Are you tired of making minimum payments on high-interest credit cards? Is student loan repayment giving you the blues? Your home equity is at an all-time high. Use that equity to save hundreds every month. Call 314-567-GOLD now and give yourself a payment break. That's 314-567-GOLD. Or visit goldenoaklending.com. NMLS 114937.
I'm embarrassed to say this. I've been using deodorant on my armpits for 30 years, and anytime I noticed odor anywhere else, I thought I needed another shower, I wasn't clean, or I felt like there was something wrong with me. And then my gynecologist told me about Lumi. It's a whole body deodorant for pits, feet, and privates that controls odor anywhere and everywhere on your body. Since Lumi, I never have to worry about body odor ever again, anywhere on my body. And that reassurance is worth every penny.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 300 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code 300. LUME deodorant.com, code 300 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I am so sure you're going to love it. Or return it for free. That's LUME deodorant.com, code 300 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. LUME deodorant.com, code 300.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. This holiday season, invest in some LED Christmas lights. They use significantly less energy than regular bulbs. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Hey, happy Wednesday to you. You've made it to Hump Day. So Annie is off all this week. Mike Elam is back in the seat today. That would be me. That was so weird. It's what a Bob Dole. Bob Dole's a good guy. You should vote for Bob Dole. Do the whole Mike Elam is here. Well, that's me. Hi. Ryan is back. How are you, sir?
Are you running for higher office? Because that sounds like what something a politician would do.
I am running for higher office. Thanks for bringing that up.
Here's what they say about Donald Trump. Donald Trump said.
Yes. Donald Trump said if he could vote for himself, he would. Luckily, he can, and he's going to, because Donald Trump is a great guy. All is quoted by Donald Trump.
Right.
That's it. Leah is back. She is so excited that she got yesterday done. And you could just feel the confidence that is brimming from her today.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the fact that Brad is already trolling the show.
I'm telling him to chill.
There you go. Hey, man, we are all good. Our YouTube live chat poll today, because some people who are full-time here are working here. Other people have people like me who come in and let the full-time people have the day off. So are you working this week? It's basically the same. It's a little or less and nope.
Yeah, a little but less or nope. There's the three choices.
So that's your YouTube live chat poll today. Are you working this week? Basically the same as usual, which is a no for me. A little less, which is true. A little but less.
I know the comma is in a weird spot there.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah, Ryan wrote it.
It's not four choices. It's three.
It's three choices.
Okay, so the other comma threw me off. When I read scripts, commas mean pause.
They should.
They do.
There's just an extra one in there.
Okay. So, are you working this week or not?
Yeah, that's the question. And
that's it.
And Brad Range is not working this week, but has chosen to spend his time chiming in on the chat saying no. So I don't really know where that falls. I think
Brad,
chiming on the chat may be pushing him into work.
I think it's a little less for Brad because he's still working because he's here.
Yeah.
And he just took over the chat page. Look at that. That is like Brad.
Brad, and then Annie Frey is commenting.
Yeah.
But I can't tell if it's Annie or if it's us because we
It's
have
me.
access. Oh, it's you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that would be funny if it was. But I would pretty much guarantee you Annie is not paying attention today.
No.
I think that's correct.
Yeah, because I'm sure just hearing Mike Elam do her show would be like, God, why did he say that?
Yes.
I could see that. She probably wouldn't say God, but beyond that, it would pretty much be the same thing.
I just want to point out before we move into the show.
The show.
It is snowing in St. Louis.
It is.
Yay.
So
and it's
there's
big snow.
Yeah, it's actually some pretty big flakes, but it's also 38 degrees. So it's not going to stick, but it looks pretty. It was kind of nasty when I was driving in this morning because you had just a rainy, snowy mixture.
Are we all in agreement that if it's going to be nasty and gray out, snow just makes it a little bit better?
Yes.
Yes.
Not the commute, just as far as aesthetics go.
I agree with that. However, I would really prefer, because my dad is here with us today. He's actually sitting in a chair around the corner, and I said, do you want to come in? We're getting ready to start the show. He goes, I'm pretty comfy right here. I'll come join you later. Okay.
He's in the nice chairs. I don't blame him.
He is a nice, comfy chair. He's also 91. So if he wants to sit, you go ahead and sit. We'll have you on a little bit later on.
Conversely, if he wants to talk, he can come on and say anything he wants anytime he wants.
And he's pretty firm on the I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
So we'll that's our goal today. Let's get him to at least say something, right?
Okay.
And probably something derogatory towards me, I'm sure, is where you guys are going to go. But we'll see how that works out today. But when we were driving in today, I said, when it's weather like this, it's the perfect day to just sit at home. And Dad goes, and watch football. And I went, oh, I guess he didn't want to come to the radio station with me today.
He could have told you no. Did you force him?
He could have, pretty much. Yeah. I was like, I don't feel comfortable with you staying home alone. So, because my wife is working today. It's the only day this week that she's actually working. So,
gotcha.
So what are you doing? That's what we want to know on the YouTube live chat poll. Are you working this week basically the same as usual, a little but less, or nope? So those are your three to choose from there. I was looking at something earlier today that was Bill Hemmer's year in review that he did for Fox News. And there were some stories on there that I had kind of forgotten about, but it was like your thing yesterday on people who passed this past year that you may have forgotten that they passed. And you had quite a few names that you brought up that I went, oh, wow, I did forget about them. And there were some things that you probably remember, and it's not the big deal, but some of the things I was like, oh, yeah, that happened this year. So the first thing that he talked about, and I think this was more chronologically, not because of these are the biggest stories, but the spy balloon that happened.
Yeah.
And it feels like that happened a really long time ago.
It does, although that doesn't surprise me. If I had to guess the month, what was that, maybe April?
I think it was June.
Oh, it was summer. Okay.
I think it was. I think that's what he said there. One that I had forgotten about until he mentioned it was the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio.
Oddly, of all the stories that you were going to bring up, I was going to say, I wonder if the train derailment's on there.
It is.
Because that one was such a huge story for weeks and weeks.
It was.
Because people were talking about this as an ecological disaster, and they were going to have to test it for a long time. They were evacuating, and this went on for a month at least.
Yes.
And I don't know what's happened since. I guess everything's okay, but I don't know.
I'm sure it's probably not, but it speaks to the fact of we are such a shiny object world, right? So that was, like you said, a huge story, and it just ate all of the news coverage, right? Nothing else could get oxygen. That sucked it all up in the room. And then all of a sudden, you get something else that happens, and people are like, Where was that train derailment again? I don't even remember what state, much less what community, right? So, and I remember the people who were the elected officials in that community at the time, and they warned, and they said, don't forget us. This is going to be a long recovery. This is not something that we're going to be able to just jump in and build it back, and it's all good, right? But probably because of what you just said, where you're like, I'm sure it's good. It's because we haven't heard anything.
We don't
right?
know. We don't know.
So we don't do follow-up stories in the news much anymore. We do the breaking, and we focus on the breaking. But you don't really get into those follow-up stories. So I have no idea what's going on in East Palestine, Ohio.
That it goes from a national story to a local story.
Right.
It doesn't go away. It's just that and that one actually did stick around for quite a while.
It did. It
Most
had legs.
of the time, you watch a story and it plays out over the span of basically a week. If it has longer term political implications, it'll come back.
Right.
But something happens and then you're not talking about it anymore because you're on to the next thing. But that one in particular, I remember it was at least 3 weeks that we were talking about that. And then your hope is, well, it doesn't actually impact me directly at all here in St. Louis. It's just something that's more indicative of the larger political climate. Is this something that could affect it? We have lots of trains around here.
We do.
Is our infrastructure up to date? That kind of stuff does affect you. And so it becomes that kind of conversation more. And then you hope that the local officials, the local leaders of Ohio, and then even down to East Palatine, Ohio, they're dealing with it still maybe to this day, but we don't know anymore because it's not really in our purview.
So hopefully when you do these year in reviews and those kind of stories pop up, my guess is in first quarter, somebody's going to do hey, what's going on there now? Because
1 year later.
1 year later. Like, let's do a follow-up and see what that looks like. A story that does continue to seem to have legs and continues to evolve and grow is ChatGPT/AI. So ChatGPT was the first really, have you seen this? Have you played around with ChatGPT at all?
Yeah, we've messed with it a little bit for scripts. It actually
I use it.
It's a nice starter for scripts. It doesn't complete them for you.
Right.
But it gives you a nice framework to work from that speeds things along for you.
So my friend Mike Bowie has started teaching ChatGPT classes on how to use it. And I took one of the classes that he did, and it was really interesting because he said, when you use it, start a new topic and then just have a conversation. So don't just type a question, but have a conversation with ChatGPT like you would someone that you're just talking with. And you can find stuff that you can copy and you can drop in there and you can say, learn this, and it will learn it because it doesn't update. I think the last update was January of 22. Was the last update that it had. So if you ask it something that's going on today, like if you talk about what's going on with Israel and the war right now with Hamas, probably has no clue on what to tell you about it. But you can start talking about things and have a conversation back and forth, and it's amazing what it will help you develop. And it cleans up a lot of stuff. But one of the things that I've noticed, AI became this huge focus this year. We really haven't talked about it that much, but it's become a big focus this year. And one of the things I've noticed is if you're on LinkedIn and you do a post on LinkedIn, it has a thing at the bottom that sits there all the time now that says rewrite using AI. And I hadn't noticed that up until maybe the last month or so. So the two things could be, one of two things could be true. Either A, it just showed up in the last month or so, or B, I'm that not observant that it's been there and I just haven't paid any attention.
Yeah, with AI in general, it feels like we're in one of those moments where everything's about to change and everybody goes, oh, gold rush, let's go toward it. And then everybody goes, now what do we do?
Right.
I can make money with this. How?
Right.
And so this feels like when in the mid-'90s, I remember this, Mike, but I was in middle school or early high school, right around there. And we used to have commercials that would come on these Channel 1 TVs that we had in our classrooms, which was ridiculous. And so we'd watch commercials, and a lot of them were for the World Wide Web. This thing was going to change everything.
Yes.
And that was true. It did change everything, but it took a long time, and nobody really knew exactly what that was going to look like. It feels like that's where we are with AI.
I think so in a big way right now. Everybody's trying to figure out where's it going to go. And you see a lot of people that are falling in one of two camps, right? either AI is going to be really cool and I can't wait to see what it's going to do, or AI scares the hell out of me and it's going to take over the world and start World War III, right? Do you want to play a game? And all of a sudden,
Red Dawn.
Yeah. Well, what was that? It wasn't Red Dawn. There was thermonuclear destruction or something like that. What was that? What was that game? What was that movie?
I don't remember.
Somebody on the Annie Frey show was going to come up with that. It was 80s.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was all about the fact that he just started playing this game. So he hacked in to the Defense Department's computer and War Games. Thank you. Yes, War Games. And that was kind of the first that I remember of artificial intelligence coming in. And artificial intelligence is going to take over the world. So that was the first part that we had on that. So you have people that are kind of going in either camp right now. And we'll see where that breaks down, but it's interesting, if nothing else. So those are just a few of like the top 3 stories that I saw in Himmer's thing. And we can talk about more as we go through the show today. But something you may have forgotten about that happened this year, other things that just keep having legs and keep growing. And we'll see where that goes from here. We've got a busy show today. Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe is going to join us on the other side of the break. And then we have Wiggins America, of course, that's going to happen after that. So lots of stuff still to come in this particular hour. Kirk Erickson is going to join us from the Post-Dispatch next hour. He wrote a story about what's coming up in the next legislative session. So I'm interested to hear his take on that. We're also going to talk with Mark Harder, who is from St. Louis County Council. There's been a lot of arguments about budgeting going along there, especially with he and Sam Page. So that'll be interesting. And then in the 2 o'clock hour, Missouri State Representative Cody Smith, who is the House Budget Chairman, the longest serving House Budget Chair since we started term limits. He is running for Missouri State Treasurer as well. We'll talk to him because this big money that comes from the federal government is getting ready to end after next year. So it's going to be interesting to talk to Cody and figure out what's this budget going to look like this year. And by the way, thank you very much, Kyle, for throwing Kenny Chesney in there because I'm a country guy, so I love having bumper music that is country. It's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey on 97.1 FM Talk. We're going to talk with Mike Kehoe on the other side of the break.
Couches blowing that smoke on Saturday night. A little messed up, but we're all right.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Ring in the new year with the ultimate timeless gift, a diamond from Diamonds Direct. Whether you're ready to pop the question or celebrating a lifetime of love in 2024, Diamonds Direct can make this New Year's one to remember forever. Diamonds Direct is the area's destination for exquisite diamonds in all shapes and sizes, and our nationwide price guarantee ensures you'll get the best value, period. To showcase that spectacular diamond, we have literally thousands of designer settings from all the top names like Tacori, Verragio, Simon G, A. Jaffe, and many more. And our experts will guide you every step of the way with the education you want and the respect you deserve. Engagement rings, wedding bands, eternity bands, fashion rings. At Diamonds Direct, we specialize in the ultimate symbol of love, and we welcome the opportunity to celebrate with you. So start the new year with some new excitement, new hope, and some new bling. Diamonds Direct at Olive and 270, official partner of the St. Louis Blues and proud to call the Gateway City home. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
This station is now conducting a test of the emergency alert system.
If you have hunting property in the state of Missouri, listen up. I want to introduce you to Missouri Brush Control. If you're frustrated with thick brush and limited visibility, Missouri Brush Control can open that up for you. They can come in with their forestry mulching machines and create shooting lanes for you, enhancing your hunting environment and attracting game like never before. Enjoy your hunting property the way you've always dreamed of. To see what I mean, go to their website and check out their gallery of before and after projects. That's MissouriBrushControl.com. Tell them Bo Matthews sent you to Missouri Brush Control.
1 in 3 adults in America have prediabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Years 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mom my. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 54 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
On the Mark Cox Morning Show, we like to start the year right. That's why we're broadcasting live from the Missouri State Capitol Wednesday, January 3rd. It's opening day of the legislative session, and we'll be there. That's Wednesday, January 3rd, starting at 5 a.m.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
So time's on slipping. As we go through the rest of this year, wrapping everything up, I hope you have great New Year plans coming up. I just feel like 2023 needs to get put to bed. We need to be done with this year. Although today it's very pretty outside. I hope that you don't have to work today. Our YouTube live chat poll says, are you working this week? And your choices are basically the same as usual, a little less, but less, or nope. So you're either not working, you're working a little less than you normally were, or this is a regular week for you. So kind of depends. But if you're not working, there are some beautiful snowflakes that are falling in downtown St. Louis right now. And I mean, they're the size of $50. They've got some big flakes that are falling right now. And we are being joined on the guest line by Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe. Governor, how are you, sir?
Mike, it's great to be on with you. I hope you had a great Christmas. And snow's been falling through much of Missouri today. It's kind of pretty.
I was curious, are you in mid-Missouri right now? Because I never know where you are when I talk to you, because you're always driving the wheels off your car.
And somebody told me it's like tracking Where's Waldo the other day, which I'm not sure was a compliment or not. I'm actually working, trying to get fence fixed and a few things done for the winter on the farm. As you know, we're a beef cattle production facility down in Phelps County, so we're taking this week to get some outside work done, and it's a little bit chilly, but it's beautiful outside. It
is pretty right now, and Steve Moore, our program director, just stuck his head in, and he said, the thing I love about that snow falling right now is the ground's 38 degrees, so that means it's not going to stick. So it's pretty, but
yeah, it's just nice to look at, and then it doesn't stay, so we like that.
You got to like that. I hope you had a great Christmas. You have had a very, very busy year. So you had a new family member who joined you at Christmas this year, I'm assuming.
Isn't that weird? Yes, it was a little bit odd, but it was great. Somebody asked me what was one of my favorite Christmases. I said, it probably was this year because my kids are old enough where they're not at each other's throat anymore. Presents are important, but it's not the most important part of the day. And we had a new member join us. My oldest daughter got married a couple of months ago, and obviously her husband was with us this year, so a son-in-law, and it worked out well. It was a nice day. Everybody was calm, and the new member of the family fit in well. I made him help me clean the barbecue grill, so that's always a good way to break them in.
Come here, son-in-law. I got some fence for you to fix.
My wife and I have been very blessed. We've been very blessed with our kids and now our new son-in-law.
Well, I saw that you were at the Missouri Highway Patrol graduation the other day.
Yes, last Friday I've been blessed and honored, really humbled to be able to speak to multiple classes over the last several years that graduate. We graduate 2 a year. 25 young men from all across the state and around the country were part of this year's Highway Patrol class. Our patrol in the academy is one of the premier academies in the United States. And so we do attract folks from Oklahoma and Texas and Illinois and you name it. But it's incredibly cool to be able to talk to those folks who have chosen to keep our communities safe and our highways safe as a line of work. And they're true public servants in the purest form. And it's inspiring to be around them and their family members, see the support. Packed gym, 25 men, as I said. This is the first class I've talked to. We didn't have any females, but 25 men, and the gym was packed with hundreds of people because their moms and dads and wives and girlfriends and all of the significant folks in their lives come to support them for this graduation. It was fantastic. We wish them the best of luck, and each one of them, I told them, as you shake your hand, I tell them, not only thank you for your commitment to our state, but come home from your shift. Stay safe.
Yeah, no kidding. Are you seeing the numbers? Are they always about 25? Are they getting less? Are they getting more? I'm just curious where they are, because I know police officers in general, we tend to be having shrinking classes.
Yes, we have an incredible shortage in law enforcement in multiple agencies all across the state, to your point, and Highway Patrol is no different. We'd like to have more because we have a lot of retirements coming through the patrol. We have 2 classes a year, usually about 20 to 25, and then the patrol started about 2 years ago. I think they've done 3 classes now, what they call an accelerated class, where if you're already in law enforcement, you have certain certifications, you can take a shorter kind of academy class and then become a highway patrolman or woman. And we've had 3 of those, and usually about 8 to 10 in each of those classes. So kind of outside of the box thinking, bringing some more people into patrol. But law enforcement in general, Mike, the problem is we unfortunately have in some areas, people who are not supporting the police. And we as a country, as a state, and communities all across the state, we have to support the men and women that keep our communities safe. It's a spiral downhill that you cannot reverse if we get too far down. So I'm so happy that you've got Gabe Gore up there, who's doing a fantastic job as a prosecutor, but we need to make sure we're all utilizing our power to vote and whatever bully puppet we have to make sure we get tough prosecutors in there that are going to protect the men and women after they take these criminals off the street.
We had a police officer at my Christmas dinner this year for the first time because my daughter is dating a St. Louis City police officer. And I felt bad for him at first because he was just getting pummeled with all kinds of questions, because you have all these people at the Christmas table around him who are all people living in St. Charles County in the suburbs, right? Well, the crime that happens in St. Louis, we don't see it in St. Charles County, thank God. But they were all asking him kind of, what is this like? And he was talking about how short they are in police officers, and how a lot of times, they used to be 2 officers to a car, but now they're down to 1. And it's a recruitment problem. They just can't get people to be officers in the city.
Well, first of all, God bless him for being a police officer, and special blessings for him being in the city of St. Louis. There are a couple of 100+ spots down in the city right now. I work with those guys all the time. But they're, the prosecutors, a good thing for them. Being able to get their pay right. I think Chief Tracy has done a good job of getting them incremental pay increases, which they wholeheartedly deserve. But yeah, the parts of the cities, I'm from North St. Louis, there in Walnut Park and Baden, and parts of the city are, can be a war zone. My wife and I were fortunate enough to go up and work at the community center. We've been helping up in Walnut Park a couple of times over this Christmas season. And just try to encourage people to try to find ways to make a difference in people's lives in these inner city neighborhoods where they literally have no idea what hope is. And when you tell them who I am and I came from the neighborhood, they quite frankly don't believe it. They don't think anybody kind of makes it out of those areas. So supporting the law enforcement so that they can be back in those communities and making sure that those folks can go out and literally mow their lawn or paint their handrail without getting shot at is very important. And it's, like I said earlier, we have to get that balance back in order for us to grow as a community in the St. Louis region and, of course, as a state.
We're talking to Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe, and, one of the things that I keep seeing all the time, and it doesn't matter what I'm watching these days, it seems like, this immigration issue just continues to get out of hand, and I'm seeing, the mayor of New York who is calling on the feds to come help. But then you have the mayor of Chicago who's blaming the governor of Texas for the problems that they're having in Chicago, even though they have waved their "we're a sanctuary city" flag and basically asked for these people to come. And now that they're getting them, they don't want them. But it begs the question, what is this going to look like for the state of Missouri? And how does Missouri keep from having these border issues and what's happening in the other cities come to our state?
Well, you see some of these crazy woke cities across the country saying we want to be a sanctuary city, and then all of a sudden, be careful what you wish for.
Right.
Then they start coming by buses, and all of a sudden they say, well, we didn't mean it that way. Every state is a border state now. I don't care if Missouri is several hundred miles away from what we know is a true U.S. border or not. We are border states because the number of folks that are coming across the border every day, doesn't matter what news channel you watch, whether you think it's a liberal-leaning channel or a conservative-leaning channel, thousands and thousands and thousands of people illegally are coming across that border, our southern border, and they're eventually making their way into all of our states. The fentanyl crisis that's coming across those borders is absolutely an all-time high, immediate need to be able to stop. I mean, the number one deaths in the United States and in Missouri between 18 and 40-year-olds are fentanyl. And that's coming across the border in record numbers, not to mention all of the other problems that come across the border when you come here illegally. We're a country that allows people to come in legally. I am the product of immigrants from the late 1870s from Ireland. They came here legally. Many of your listeners, if not most of your listeners, had folks that came here legally. We're a country that wants to encourage that. That's who we are. That's part of our democracy. But just flooding the border without any kind of regard for who's coming in and what the process they've went through is absolutely one of the ruinations that we're seeing of our modern time.
You know, as you're looking into 2024, and it feels weird to call that the home stretch for you because you've been out covering the state of Missouri for literally the last 2 years. I remember it was a year and a half ago. We were at the public schoolhouse in Cottleville, and I was like, wait, is he already running? It's like, he is. So I remember you getting out there early and driving the wheels off the bus. But the immigration issue is one big issue. But as you look into 2024, obviously the economy is going to be a big part. But what are you seeing as the big issues for Missouri as we turn the page for the new year?
Well, you're absolutely right. And not that I'm counting, but I think it's 220 days to the primary, Mike, just in case you want to know.
Just a round number.
Well, we talked about it earlier. Crime is a huge issue across our state. It's something the St. Louis region struggles with, but quite frankly, different parts of our state that has to be dealt with and handled immediately, and continued support to law enforcement men and ladies all across the state. That has to be priority number one. When you drive around the state, like my wife and I do, almost 71,000 miles, I think, since we started this journey.
Wow.
Without leaving the state borders. Bidenomics is killing people. You mentioned that. I mean, the price of gas, the price of milk, the price of bread, the price of anything you buy. Now with higher interest rates, your mortgage payment, your car payment, any of those types of things, it's taking Missourians so much more money to pay their bills than it did before because of the policies that are coming out of Washington, D.C. We have to have a change in president. There's no two ways about it in 2024, and I'm so hopeful that we can get that done to reverse this additional costs that Missouri families are having to pay. Those are the top two things you hear about. There's plenty of other things to work on. Education reform, lots of education opportunities out there. Economic development, those are the things that really kind of get our state and give opportunities to Missourians like we did. And look, I understand what hard work is. I understand what hard times are. I've come from hard times, and I know that hard work can pull you out of hard times. And that's the message we got to get across to Missourians. This is savable. This is not a irreversible trend that we have here. We can really get Missouri in a place that's just the best you can have for your families. And I think it's something that we have a good recipe and a good process that we can go down and bring Missourians to a better spot and make sure we have lots of opportunities as we move forward.
Well, Lieutenant Governor, I hope that you have big fun plans for the new year, and I hope your New Year's Eve goes really well, and I wish you the very best in 2024 and appreciate you taking some time to talk with us today.
Well, I am so grateful, Mike, you would have us on. We are, as I said earlier, my wife and I are blessed to have a great family and great health, and that's most of what you can ask for. And we've met thousands of Missourians across the state that have taken us into their home, and it's super kind for us. We're thankful for everything we have, and we wish all of your listeners a very happy and safe and blessed New Year as well.
We appreciate it. Have a great New Year's, and we'll talk to you in the next year.
Thank you, buddy.
That is Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe. Coming up on the other side is always one of my favorite times to be on the Annie Frey Show, whether I'm here or whether I'm listening. It's Wiggins America on the other side. Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey today on St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk.
Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future.
Surprise! Surprise! You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
I feel like I'm constantly cleaning hair off my bathroom floor. At least my Swiffer Sweeper makes it easy. Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths have ultra-thick pads to trap and lock hairs, like a hair magnet. And when I'm finished cleaning up my hair, Sweeper takes care of his too. Now the hair is gone, all thanks to Swiffer. Try Swiffer Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths. I promise you'll love them or your money back. And also try Swiffer Sweeper Wet to make quick work of tough, sticky messes.
Hi, this is Tony DePong from Reinhold Electric. On behalf of the entire Reinhold Electric team, happy holidays. Remember Reinhold Electric for all your electrical needs in 2024. God bless and Happy New Year.
Leah, Mike Elam, and myself, Ryan Wiggins, are asking you this YouTube live chat question today. Are you working this week? Basically the same as usual, a little bit less, but nope. Any one of those answers, we'd just like to know. We're kind of doing this poll just informally because we'd like to know what you're doing this week and how we can maybe program to that. 12:41 right now. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
You're here to connect and to know. We're here to deliver the world, the country, and the community.
Your home for conservative talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
It's a beautiful day in St. Louis. Welcome to Paradise City, where the snow is falling and it is not sticking. Hey, that
was really good.
Thanks for playing. That's what happens when you take a walk down the hall. It just comes to you.
It's pretty. It really is pretty, though.
It really is pretty.
Standing inside, looking outside the window, it's great. If you're on the road, I have no idea what it's like.
Yeah, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas the week after.
It sure is.
So if you didn't have a good Christmas, today's your day to actually celebrate it and make it happen. It's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey today. My dad has actually joined us in the studio, but so far he has refused to speak. So we're going to see if we can try and change that between now and 3 o'clock. But in the meantime, it is time for Wiggins America.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
No, it's
Sorry.
not.
Oh, hey, wow.
Give Leah just a second, and then it'll be time for Wiggins America. We could just go into the segment without the intro, but what would that be?
I'll just...
Oh, Wiggins!
No, that's not it.
It's not it?
Yeah.
We were so
I
close.
found it yesterday.
Yeah,
oh,
you're
wait,
doing
here
a
we go. I
great
found
job.
it. Oh, wait.
Wiggins!
And just like that, it's Wiggins America.
Oh, wow. Now, gosh, I don't even know what to do now.
Jackie says, just move on, Wiggins.
Yeah, just move on. Yeah, we are. The two main Democrat media messages going into 2024, I have identified these based on just my own research. These are things that I think you're already seeing.
Okay.
But that you are going to see exclusively throughout the next year. It is going to be pounded into your psyche that these are the most two important things that you could possibly know about America in 2024.
If you're a Democrat.
If you're the media. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Which are basically one and the same thing, Mike.
Well, this is true.
So I've always said we live in a media-run state. It's not really a Democrat or a state-run media. The media kind of can control what you care about and what you don't.
By all means.
And they can control the mainstream media, of course. They can control which issues you pay attention to and which ones you don't. They can't necessarily control how you think about those issues, but they can spotlight issues and make you come up with an opinion on them.
So I'm going to guess that the number one issue that the media and the Democrats are going to focus on in 2024 is abortion. Thank you for playing.
You've got it.
Would you like to go for double jeopardy where the prizes can really get interesting?
That is number one. And I've brought examples, Mike, because it is already starting. I don't know if this was starting before Ohio or after the Ohio election that legalized, basically gave a constitutional right to abortion in Ohio. But that was a big deal because that is a right-leaning state at this point. It's not necessarily a swing state anymore. It is a right-leaning state.
Right.
And they have legalized abortion like full on. Like there are no restrictions. It is a constitutional right in Ohio, and that is going to be tough to ever overturn.
There's no time limits?
Well,
they didn't put any weeks in there or anything?
If they have, so I think some of that comes later.
Okay.
I think they had to pass the amendment first to enshrine the right.
Okay.
Then they talk about the specifics. But in enshrining the right, you have to basically take your hands completely off it. And what are they going to go back and now and put restrictions on it?
Right.
Unlikely, but that's the process.
Okay.
So I highlighted some examples here of national mainstream media of what you're going to see. It's already coming out, but you're going to see this over and over and over. The article from ABC News here is called Fighting for Their Lives, Women and the Impact of Abortion Restrictions in Post-Roe America.
Wow.
Now, if you're thinking, well, that's just one article, Ryan, you're going to see a bunch of articles. No, this is the beginning of a several-part series of investigations that ABC News Investigative Bureau is doing to turn over every rock possible in mostly red states, is my assumption, to try to find any personal impact stories to women that they can.
Right.
To highlight and spread across the nation and the globe.
We're going to take an exception and we're going to present it as the norm, and we're going to do that over and over and over again, and that until that becomes the narrative.
Right. And this was on this, I think, was just a couple years ago. This is part one of the series, Fighting for Their Lives, Women and the Impact of Abortion Restrictions in Post-Roe America. And if you're thinking, okay, yes, it's ABC News. Okay, fine. There's going to be several articles. It's not just that. They're going to be doing this stuff on ABC. They're also doing a several-part series on Hulu, all on abortion. Now, what are they doing? Of course, they're highlighting individual stories, and that's the whole point, is to pull on the heartstrings. They want you, if you're a woman, to feel something for this woman. And therefore, you will vote a certain way. They don't actually care about the woman. They don't care about anything other than the way you vote. That's the whole purpose of this series. The other point of it, and I've read this whole first part here, by the way, lots and lots of pictures. So it's not just text. It is a bunch of pictures of women standing, looking straight into the camera with their arms folded. Take me seriously pose. The other point of the article and what you're going to see in this entire series, I haven't seen the Hulu part of it yet, but I can almost guarantee you they will never, ever, ever mention the rights of a baby.
No.
They will never bring up the idea that there could be a life that's impacted outside of the woman here.
Right.
And that's the whole point, is to get your eyes off of what they don't want you to pay attention to the pro-life even idea. Not the argument. They won't present the argument.
No.
They won't. They will use language to make you forget that there even is a baby in this equation.
But you say ABC and Hulu, but they both have the same parent company in
Yes.
Disney.
Yes.
So I find it extremely sad. I mean, it's sad all the way around, but it's even more sad to me that a company like Disney, which has made its money on families and kids, would be the company that's behind all this. I mean, that's just sad at a whole other level.
Yeah. So that's the first one. And people pointing out, hey, there might be restrictions in the Ohio. Now, as I understand it, there weren't on the initial, but I will look that up to make sure. I don't want to spread false information.
More to follow.
Yeah, more
number
to follow.
2 story is...
So that's the number 1, which you guessed. Do you want to guess number 2?
I would think number 2 is going to have to be economy, but they can't win economy. So I don't think it's going to be economy, but I'm going to say economy.
Economy. So you're saying you think that the Democrat-run media is going to push economics as a win for Democrats?
I think they're going to say Bidenomics is working. You just need to be more patient because it's kicking in.
You know what? You are kind of hearing that.
You are.
That's not the message that I have pinpointed here, because I think the thesis of both of these messages to me is that they're trying desperately to get you to not pay attention to anything associated with Joe Biden. They really want you to forget that he's even on the ballot.
So is this going to be trans world?
No. I mean, this is my opinion, so I'm not saying any of yours are wrong. But in my opinion, number 1 is abortion. Number 2 is Trump is a fill in the blank.
Oh.
Dictator, insurrectionist, or fascist, something like that. You're going to hear that over and over and over. And part of the point is that they don't even want you to remember that Joe Biden is the president of the United States.
Right.
Nor is he a candidate for president of the United States. They want you to think about abortion because they think that's a winning issue for them. And they want you to think about Trump. And they also, here's what's weird, because we right now have 2 candidates, leading candidates for president,
right,
who have both very recently been president.
Yes.
One of them is, the other one just was. They each have records that they can run on.
Yes.
So one of the goals of any media is to take the new candidate and say, yeah, look at what this guy did. He screwed up. But look at what this guy or girl's doing. She's going to change things for the better. That's going to be really hard in 2024.
Right.
Because it's not just memory. It's very recent memory.
I forgot who we had on yesterday. I think it was J.J. Carafano, who was talking about the fact of this is a very strange presidential election because you get to say, to your point, here's the guy who just was president. You lived through 4 years of him. You know what that looked like. And you can carve out that last year because of COVID if you want, because that's a once every 100-year type thing, right? And then you can look at the current president and what's gone on for the last 3 years there. So you've got the first 3 of Trump, the first 3 of Biden. You can put them side by side. And as a voter, you can say, I've A/B tested both of you. So now I can figure out, well, who do I want? Do I want this guy who's got really good policies, but he's going to say stuff that's going to make me think he's mean, which is the cardinal sin of Donald Trump.
Right.
He's mean. Okay, but your gas was $1.70. I can go with mean for $1.70 a gallon.
He's mean
right?
to all the right people, as far as foreign policy goes, anyway.
He's mean, but your economy's awesome.
Yeah.
Here's Joe Biden, who's supposed to be the kinder, gentler grandpa guy, who's letting your country being invaded by over 8 million plus people and letting your economy go in the crapper and continues to degrade the moral compass of your country. I'm not biased at all. I mean, when you look at these, you have 2 crystal clear choices that you're going to pick. But I agree with what you're saying. They're going to try to make it all about like it was in 2020. I still stick that there was no one who voted for Joe Biden. Maybe not even Biden's family. No one voted for Joe Biden. You either voted for Donald Trump or you voted against Donald Trump. And I think that's exactly what the 2020 election was.
Yeah, and in 2024, it's going to be very, very difficult for the media to use this message because everybody remembers what it's been like for the last 4 years and the 4 years before that.
Yep.
But they're going to try. They're going to try to make you not pay attention to what's happening now, nor what happened under Trump. They really don't care about that. What they want you to focus on is going forward, what will he be like? Because then they can say anything they want. You can project anything you want on a future president, good or bad, because there's no limit to what could happen. So they're going to say he's a dictator. I'm already seeing this in several locations.
Well, and he played into it on Sean Hannity's show.
And he will. That's the thing, is that he won't run from these things.
Nope.
He'll just turn them. He'll use them.
He will.
He'll use them in sound bites because he knows that's how the game is played. So the articles that I'm seeing now, though, are saying, you know what? I'm really worried that Trump will refuse to leave office. Well,
didn't they say that 3 years ago?
You can just say it, and you can say anything you want.
Right.
Because you can just project your own opinions on him going forward. Oh, he's a insurrectionist. They're already using that to keep him off ballots. By the way, update, you might have seen this morning, that Michigan's Supreme Court rejected the insurrectionist ban, and they're going to keep Trump on the primary ballot. So whether the Supreme Court's going to step into this, man, I just don't know, because our associate producer yesterday, filling in Ethan, Drew, sent me this article that I don't know, I didn't even see. He goes, oh, did you see about Texas? I said, no, I didn't see about Texas. What is it? He sent me the article. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick of Texas wants to take President Biden off the ballot in Texas because he said, we have no border. You're allowing an invasion. That is an insurrection.
Yes.
So basically what he's saying is, oh, you want to play that game? We can play that game. And that's unfortunately what they have to do, because if the other side's going to change the rules, you can't say, no, I want to play by the old basketball rules where traveling was never called. Oh, no, now you got to play by Dr. J's rules where he can take a couple steps and they're not calling it.
That's right.
So
that's not walking anymore.
That's right. So you got to do these things, but that's what they're not going to stop. They're going to use insurrectionist, they're going to use dictator, and they're going to use fascist, and all of those words are the exact things that they're doing. You don't keep your political opponent off the ballot because he's a fascist unless you're a fascist. That's what you do.
Which is why this is all going to get fast-tracked to the Supreme Court, and both sides are going to stop playing that. And you, the voter, are going to get to make the pick, which is what you should. It's Wiggins America, which is always amazing and deep, well thought.
Well, and let me know what you think. If you agree with me, disagree with me about those two things being the major talking points for Democrat-led media in 2024, I'd love to know.
We're talking with Kirk Erickson from the Post-Dispatch on the other side of the break. It's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey today on 97.1 FM Talk.
When you're buying a house and you have to secure a mortgage, of course, this is a really, really pivotal moment in making sure that you get ahead of your finances and you put yourself in a position to succeed. Now, of course, you're going to want to get the lowest rate possible, but how do you keep yourself from overspending to access that mortgage? Well, that plan starts with Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. You've heard me talk about the bagel loan, and you might be wondering, Annie, why is it called a bagel loan? Stewie called it a bagel loan for a very simple reason. Bagels look like zeros, and zeros are to remind you that you're going to pay zero in lender fees and closing costs that other lenders out there are going to charge you for. So you don't have to pay that amount of money when you go with Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. Reach out to him at 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. And let him know that you are looking to get a house, and he will set you up with every detail that you need to know to understand why so many people have chosen the bagel loan, like I did. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan and MLS number 226715.
Ring in the new year with the ultimate timeless gift, a diamond from Diamonds Direct. Whether you're ready to pop the question or celebrating a lifetime of love in 2024, Diamonds Direct can make this New Year's one to remember forever. Diamonds Direct is the area's destination for exquisite diamonds in all shapes and sizes, and our nationwide price guarantee ensures you'll get the best value, period. To showcase that spectacular diamond, we have literally thousands of designer settings from all the top names like Tacori, Verragio, Simon G, A. Jaffe, and many more. And our experts will guide you every step of the way with the education you want and the respect you deserve. Engagement rings, wedding bands, eternity bands, fashion rings. At Diamonds Direct, we specialize in the ultimate symbol of love, and we welcome the opportunity to celebrate with you. So start the new year with some new excitement, new hope, and some new bling. Diamonds Direct. At Olive and 270, official partner of the St. Louis Blues and proud to call the Gateway City home. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Want to make a meaningful resolution for 2024? Learning a new language with Rosetta Stone helps you reignite your sense of adventure and broaden your perspective, whether you plan to travel the world or just want to finally commit to improving your Spanish. Their award-winning app features lessons as short as 5 minutes to make it easy to stick with your resolution. Plus, they offer live lessons where expert tutors teach fun new words related to local holidays, cultural traditions, food and drink, and more during engaging live streams. With Rosetta Stone, you'll learn the language and the culture. Their lifetime subscription gives you access to all 25 of their languages forever, and you can get it for 50% off right now. You'll pay once and enjoy forever, so you don't need to worry about another monthly subscription. This limited time offer ends soon, so hurry to rosettastone.com/radio to get a lifetime subscription for just $199. Make a resolution you'll actually want to keep with Rosetta Stone.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Weighs in. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. Michigan's Supreme Court keeping former President Trump on the state's primary election ballot for now. The court saying today it will not hear an appeal of a lower court ruling from groups seeking to keep Donald Trump from appearing on the ballot. The group Free Speech for People had sued to force Michigan's Secretary of State to bar Donald Trump from the Michigan ballot. Now, today's ruling, of course, follows a December 19th move by a divided Colorado State Supreme Court, which found Donald Trump ineligible to be president because of his role in the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, they're traveling to Mexico City to talk about the continued influx of migrants and asylum seekers at the southern border. They're set to speak with the president of Mexico, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador.
Number one, resume deportation buses and flights from its border with the U.S. Right now, there are thousands of deportable migrants from around the globe sleeping in camps and shelters along the border. 2, resume policing the railroads. Known as the Beast, rail is the quickest and cheapest way for migrants to race north through Mexico. 3, increase interior checkpoints, pull people off trucks and buses. Finally, limit or deny permisos or visas that allow migrants to transit Mexico legally for up to 90 days.
Fox's William Lajeunesse with the bullet points there as to what the White House wants to achieve. Tom Smothers, half of the Smothers Brothers, co-host of one of the most socially conscious and groundbreaking TV shows in history, has died. He was 86. He died yesterday at a home in Santa Rosa, California. When the show debuted on CBS in the fall of 1967, it was an immediate hit, but it was canceled in 1970. America's listening to Fox News.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare information guide absolutely free. Call 800-919-3200. That's 800-919-3200. 800-919-3200.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
A windy and chilly 45 for the high this afternoon, feeling like late December now, though plenty of sunshine. Tonight, more and more clouds take over, 35. Wednesday, periods of rain, some big old sloppy wet snowflakes mixing in from time to time. It's cold, 42 degrees. Wednesday night, rain, some wet snow mixed in, 32. And Thursday will start with a little bit of light snow and a cloudy 42 Thursday afternoon. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here, and so are St. Louis's conservative thought leaders. St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
When it comes to finding the perfect grill, family-owned and operated Cotton's Ace Hardware has you covered. Get free delivery and free fuel on any grills over $300, and free assembly and haul away of your old grills with the purchase of a new one. With a selection from Weber to Traeger and your local retailer of the Big Green Egg, Cotton's Ace Hardware makes it easier than ever to replace your old grill. Let Cotton's Ace Hardware make your family barbecue more enjoyable with that one-of-a-kind grill you've been looking for. Find your nearest St. Louis area location at cottonsaceHardware.com.
It's winter. Let's talk about garage doors. Your garage doors. Is it loud? Letting cold air in around the frame? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis will make it all better. For just 2 weeks, they're providing their full 26-task garage door tune-up for just $69. That's just $69 for up to 3 garage doors and openers. You need this done for winter, so why not now? And for just $69. Schedule now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. Overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Is your home ready for the holidays? Beat the holiday rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. Get 3 rooms Zero Res clean starting at $129. You can also get $50 off your air duct cleaning when you call 314-474-2020 or book online anytime at ZeroResSTL.com.
Warmest wishes for a joyous holiday season and a happy new year from your friends at Odyssey and Onder Law Injury Lawyers.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Hope your holiday week is going well. Our YouTube chat poll of the day is, are you working this week? Basically the same as usual. These are your 3 choices. Basically the same as usual, a little bit less, or nope. So what are you doing? Obviously, we know that Brad is not working, but he's still working on the YouTube chat poll or on the Facebook chat poll. So we would love to see what you think. Let us know. Are you working this week? Yes, no, or a little bit less? I'm working a separate job this week. So my name is Mike Elam. I'm a county council guy out in St. Charles County, or as I call it, God's country. So it's fun to come in and play radio for a while. So thanks for Annie for taking off this week. I am just here yesterday and today. We will have who for the rest of this
Ryan
week?
Recker.
Ryan Recker. Ryan's always fun. Ryan is a very well-informed guy. He really is. He must read all the time. So he is going to be filling in the rest of this week. It is still snowing in downtown St. Louis, but the flakes have gotten a whole lot smaller. They were silver dollar size there for a while. So it's sticking on the grass, but that's about it because it's like 38 degrees outside, maybe warmer. So it's not going to stick, but at least it's pretty for a while. We're going to find out what is going to stick after the first of the year at the state capitol. Lawmakers are coming back into session, and it could be a very interesting session. I was reading an article in the Post-Dispatch just the other day that Kurt Erickson wrote, and I asked Kurt if he'd be willing to come on and talk with us about that. Kurt, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good. There's a little bit of snow here in Jefferson City, too. So
there you go.
Yeah, not going to stick, like you said, but yeah, we're getting winter finally.
So we didn't have a white Christmas, but we're having a white week after Christmas. It's just going to be that kind of white where you can still drive, which is always nice.
Right, exactly.
Hey, I appreciate you taking some time to be on with us today, because I was reading your article that you wrote the other day and just kind of looking at, Missouri lawmakers are prepped for an annual session amid election year posturing. And I thought, brother, you hit that. It is going to be a very interesting year in Jefferson City. And as you were putting this article together, what were your takeaways what you're expecting for this year's legislative session?
There is a lot of pessimism about making any major changes in state policies, because at least, more than a dozen members of the House and Senate are running for higher office, whether that's statewide or a House member running for the Senate. And in some cases, they're running against themselves. A Secretary of State's race has Caleb Rowden, the leader of the Senate, and Holly Rader, a senator from the Sikeston area. And over in the House, the Speaker of the House, Dean Plocker, is running for lieutenant governor. And the assessment I was getting from everyone I talked to is that the competition for floor time and the competition to, one up whatever opponent they might have could lead to gridlock, which, for some, that's not a bad thing.
Well,
others, it means that they're not doing anything. So I see a lot of fights and floor speeches coming up in the next 4.5 months.
Well, typically when you're running, right, you want to get something passed that you can take credit for, right? You want to put your name on something to say, look what I did for you. And politics is a lot of what have you done for me lately? If you've been a great legislator over the last 7 years, that's one thing. But your 8th year is when you're about to leave and you're going to move on to this other office that you've talked about. And people need to have something this year that they can hang their hat on and they can go out to the voters and say, look what I did for you. But to your point, when you're running against someone like Holly Rader, if you put her and Caleb Rowden together, he's the president of the Senate. So he's going to have a bigger pulpit than she's going to have to be able to knock stuff down. It's going to be interesting to see how that works. But in your article, you called out Senator Eigel more than a couple of times about things coming up. And I guess he and the president of the Senate have not been on good terms for a while, have they?
No. Yeah, it's kind of unavoidable when you're writing about the Senate to not mention how Bill Eigel has, used the floor of the Senate to block legislation and to try and promote his own legislation. And he's been blamed for, if he doesn't get anything done, it's because he's not working well with others. And that's not likely to change in the coming session as he tries to get his points across and campaign on the floor. I see like fights over the budget. The budget is the only thing that the legislature has to do by the Constitution, and I think even that is as a lot of people have told me, that's going to become a sticking point. last year they tried to insert legislation or language about abortion and diversity and inclusion, and I would say like the mainline Republicans rejected that in the end, but it was all part of the campaign talking points.
Well, it looked like for a while there, I guess about 3 years ago, you had a conservative caucus, and then last year they disbanded the conservative caucus as a formal group, it looked like. But it sounds like the conservative caucus has put the band back together, for lack of a better term. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, they've formalized their faction as the Freedom Caucus, patterned after what's in the U.S. Congress of very hardline conservative Republicans, really against government growth, and they're back. They never really went away. Now they just have a new name and maybe some renewed energy.
So
that's
rebranding, refocus. What is going to be the main things that the Freedom Caucus is going to try and get done in this session?
I think inserting language about, further restricting abortion. You can't really further restrict it, but barring money that would go to abortion providers like Planned Parenthood is a kind of a constant refrain. So that's one thing. I think we're going to see a lot of education reform, as they call it, which basically would try to tilt some of the states' school policies more toward school choice and vouchers and charter school expansion. That's another one. There's always been, over the last couple of years, there's been a push to legalize sports betting. That is still very, very unresolved. Much to the dismay of the St. Louis Cardinals and the St. Louis Blues. So they'll be lobbying for that, but yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be messy right off the bat.
So when you've been covering Jefferson City over the years, how do you see this session stacking up to those of the past? What do you see as the really big difference? Is it the fact that all these guys are running against each other, or is there more to the story than that?
Well, I think it's going to be different than past sessions that I've noticed, I've covered, just because there's more division in the nation, and you've also you've got Crystal Quaid, who's the House Minority Leader, the top-ranking Democrat in the House. She's running for governor. So that's, going to be another factor in terms of just floor time. And, it also, the Speaker of the House, Dean Plocher, has some ethics problems. He basically acknowledged earlier that he had taken taxpayer reimbursements for travel money that he had paid out of his campaign fund, basically double dipping. And he's got an ethics inquiry into him. So that just adds to the unknowns that we're looking at.
So it seems like in the past, and with all due respect to people getting elected on the Democrat side, they really haven't been a factor in Jefferson City for years. Since I'd say at least for the last 5 to 7 years, they really haven't been that big of a factor. It's been Republicans fighting with Republicans. Is that how you see this playing out in this year's session as well? Or do you think the Democrats are really going to be able to affect legislation?
I would say that the Democrats will affect legislation because they can block things in the Senate through the use of the filibuster, and use that to, add in or what's the best word I could use, to soften what they see as the damage caused by a Republican policy. So they'll be playing defense as they usually do.
Is there anything they can do in the House, or is it pretty much just the Senate?
Yeah, it's pretty hard for them to do anything in the House.
Yeah. Okay.
That's just the way it is. But they can raise a lot of questions and slow things down. But in the end, it comes over to the Senate, and that's where the Democrats can really slow things down and negotiate some compromise, even if it's not very good. But soften the blow a little bit. So.
Talking with Kurt Erickson of the Post-Dispatch, who's written some stories about what's coming up at the session this next year. But I did read another article that you wrote that I wanted to turn to a more local focus with the city of St. Louis and the red light camera ban that Senator Nick Schroer has put in. It seems like he and the city are going to go to war again.
Yeah. That's one of the new constants in the Senate. Senator Schroer wanted to have a state takeover of the St. Louis Police Department. He's hot on crime, and he thinks red light cameras aren't going to solve it. The way to solve the crime problem is to put more boots on the ground with more police officers. But the city is trying to do something about this plague of people who run red lights, and it's pretty evident in some statistics about pedestrian deaths and accidents, and the people who are opposed to red light cameras say they're unconstitutional because you're ticketing a car, not a driver. And they cause more rear-end collisions, but the other side of the coin is that it's really bad in St. Louis.
Well, I know in St. Charles, we put it to the voters, and 73% of the voters in St. Charles County said no red light cameras. And St. Peter's was the only city who had them, so that moved them out. It looks like from your story that it's not just Nick Schroer who has a problem with what they want to do with red light cameras. It seems like the mayor and Megan Green can't agree on what to do about red light cameras. So you've got Democrat on Democrat that don't even agree on what's the best use of these things.
Right. Yeah, the issue in the city of St. Louis is just kind of on hold right now while they try to figure out a way to bring everyone together with some kind of oversight of these things, and that remains to be seen.
And it seems like there's only one city in the state of Missouri right now who has red light cameras in Hannibal. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hannibal still does it. Their main focus is on Highway 61, which runs kind of through the middle of town and has a lot of stoplights and a lot of traffic, and so that's where they're using that. So next time you drive in Hannibal, please stop, or you'll be paying a ticket.
Pay attention. You're on candid camera, and they're paying attention to you there. Well, Kurt, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. It's always good to get a non-elected somebody who is covering the session and get their point of view on what we could expect in Jefferson City. And I wish you the best as you cover what is going to be a probably very tumultuous time there in Jefferson City as we move forward.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you very much.
We appreciate it. Have a great New Year. That is Kurt Erickson. He's a writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, covering the legislature and what goes on there. We are going to talk more local on the other side of the break. St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder is going to join us. He is running for state senate as well in that seat. It's about ready to become open. But he and County Executive Sam Page have been arguing about the budget. Stop me if you've heard this before, but Mark Harder and Sam Page are not on the same page. I know. It happens every day. So we're going to talk with Mark on the other side. It's the Annie Frey Show. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in today on St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk.
She held him up and he held her for ransom in the heart of the cold, cold city. He had a nasty reputation as a cruel dude. They said he was ruthless, they said he was cruel. They had one thing in common, they were good and bad. She'd say, faster, faster, the lights are turning red.
You guys, over here for a brand new sponsor to the show, Master.com. That's MASTOR.com. If your phone system does not allow you to be anywhere in the world, if it is not connected to the cloud, if it is not partnered with Nuso, which is a St. Louis company and a nationwide leader in cloud-based phone systems, then you are with the wrong company. We are local. We're family-owned. We are great at what we do. Once again, find us at Mastor, MASTOR.com. That's Master.com for the best phone service.
How would you like to make no mortgage payments for 2 months? Are you tired of making minimum payments on high-interest credit cards? Is student loan repayment giving you the blues? Your home equity is at an all-time high. Use that equity to save hundreds every month. Call 314-567-GOLD now and give yourself a payment break. That's 314-567-GOLD. Or visit goldenoaklending.com. NMLS 114937.
Hey, Mark Cox here. I recently learned something new from St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She told me the number of all-cash home sales is at the highest level since 2011. Makes sense. Gloria knows that today home sellers have options outside of a real estate agent or an auction company, and that a cash offer may be the best solution. Unlike a local investor or a real estate agent that gives you just one option, Gloria Liu is able to provide multiple cash offers quickly by visiting her website. You also get a guaranteed offer from one of her motivated buyers in waiting. So if you'd like to receive multiple cash offers on your home quickly, visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. You can sell as is without having to make any costly repair and choose your closing date. Get multiple cash offers for your home today at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save $100 off a whole home humidifier and improve the air quality of your home while lowering utility bills. For details and to get in your comfort zone, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Sue and I are babysitting some best of segments this week, including this afternoon's visit with George Gray from The Price is Right as he plays The Price is Wrong Mark.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Hope your Wednesday is going well. Thanks for letting us be a part of it. It's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey today. Annie will be back on Tuesday because Monday is a holiday as well. And Ryan Recker is going to be here the rest of this week. In the meantime, we are going to have a conversation with Mark Carter. He is County Council of St. Louis County. Mark, how are you, sir?
Hey, Mike. Happy New Year and belated Christmas and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, I hope the holidays have been good to you so far. Did you have a good Christmas? Did you do anything fun and exciting?
It was pretty crazy here. We had about 23 people at our house on Christmas Day, and
Lord,
so we're still cleaning up from that and finding things under chairs and couches. But we'll get it done.
I brought in a big tray of desserts today because we had so many sweets at my house that we still had literally trays of desserts. So we've got cookies and cupcakes and cake balls and something else that's all in this big tray. And I'm like, hey, we need to get rid of this stuff before I get diabetes. So let's try and move some of this along for me. So I'm glad things went well for you. I hope your New Year's are going to go well, but it seems like you're wrapping up the year kind of where your year goes on a regular basis. With you and Sam Page are not on the same page, and we're probably all lucky that you're not.
And that is a good thing, and it is time to turn the page, that's for sure.
In more than one way.
In more than one way, that's right. So, yeah, a couple things that have happened. You know, usually you think things are slowing down around the holidays, and that didn't happen this time because if you last Tuesday, we had our last council meeting, and we've been having a number of different nonprofits come to our meetings and complain that they're not getting paid for the work they did for COVID using ARPA money and the rebuilding of the dam done by COVID afterwards. And we contracted a while back with a lot of these different nonprofits, and they're coming to us saying, hey, we're not getting paid. We were promised so much money, with an RFP and so on, and Mr. Page is not paying us out. And so we were like, what's this about? So I called him out on it. He acted like, we'll look into it. Well, within a couple of days, he sends out a letter to all these nonprofits, and it was 5 or 6 in his letter saying we're not going to pay you because the council trimmed our budget for next year, and we don't have the manpower to do the checks, to write checks. And I'm like, how much time and how many people do you need to write a check? So he called out a number of different charities, and maybe you've heard some of these. One's called Refuge and Restoration. They were helping with some of the food desert issues and some of the help that was given out for meals and things like that in the underserved communities. A group called A Red Circle, another group called Rustic Roots Sanctuary, and another one called St. Louis Survivors Legal Support, Inc., and another legal group. But all these groups they won the bids for this ARPA money to help in these communities, and Sam Page won't pay for them and pay their bill. So I'm kind of going to bat for him, and I hope in the next week or so we'll get other council people on board here to go to bat for these nonprofits and go after Sam Page for not paying these people.
Did he say why those particular nonprofits were the ones that he chose?
These were the ones that were the next group. We had hundreds of groups apply for ARPA money way back when, and they had to go through a vetting process, and it was a 10-step program. These and people are in different places in that pipeline, but these groups were the next group that had completed all 10 steps or very close to completing 10 steps. And they actually spent the money that was promised to them out of their own budget, knowing that, hey, we're going to get reimbursed for this, right? And now, because Page won't pay the bill and sign the contracts on these people, they've outed the money and, may not get their money back. So these are very small nonprofits, and it could crush them if they don't get this money back.
So obviously there's 7 members on the county council. Where do the rest of the members sit on this right now?
I don't know, because this letter that Page put out came out on December 25th or 21st, right before Christmas. And people, I think, have tuned out. I'm still working, but others may have not. And so they haven't weighed in on that. I've talked to a few of the council members, but not all. And we kind of saw this coming because he threatened this action because we cut his budget for next year. And he, and I think we talked about that the last time I was on your show, how he threatened to cut this and other programs because we cut his stuff. And this doesn't take a lot of manpower to write checks to these groups. They just need the contract signed. Many cases are just a check cut and sent to these folks for their reimbursement. It's ridiculous to use that as an excuse.
The interesting part is a lot of that you're saying is ARPA funds. So I would think ARPA funds shouldn't be affected by the cuts that you had to make. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought the difference was he wanted cuts of about $6 million, and the council voted for cuts of $14 million. Do I have those numbers pretty correct?
Right.
So
right. Well, and he also asked for a tax increase, which we did not give him. So,
yeah, I don't think anybody on either side of the aisle, other than him, sees a way that St. Louis County can afford to take a tax increase right now.
Right. And this money is not county money. This is federal money. This is ARPA money that all jurisdictions got in varying degrees to use as to help get us out of the pandemic and the wreckage of the pandemic caused in our communities. So this money is supposed to be used for that, and it's supposed to be spent by the end of 2025. So we've got to, get this money out in the community and to get it spent going forward, because if you don't spend it, it goes back to the federal government.
Well, obviously, you're done for the year in terms of 2023. When do you come back in 2024?
We come back on the 9th of January is our first meeting.
Okay.
And at that meeting, we'll be electing a new chair and vice chair for the next year, and then set the schedule going forward for the next for 2024.
Does St. Louis County Council have a rotation, for lack of a better term, of who would be the next council chair?
No, we leave that up to the council to vote on the new chair and vice chair every year in January. In some years, it's been the same people from year to year. Others, we've changed it up. And I was vice chair 2 times with a break in between. I've been vice chair this last time. I may or may not run for vice chair going forward. Chair is we'll see who that's going to be. Most likely it will be Shalonda Webb. She's been chair this time, and I don't know if anybody else is stepping up to go after that role. But we decide that at the first meeting is one of our first duties of the new year, is to decide who the next chair and vice chair are going forward.
So as you go into the new year, what do you see being the big priorities for St. Louis County Council?
I think the big thing is going back and revisiting the budget on a more frequent basis instead of waiting till the end of the year. I think we're going to be, through our budget director that we have for the council and others, I think we're going to be, to use a old cowboy term, riding a herd on this, because we've got to stay more engaged. The council needs to stay more engaged in this budget, because unfortunately the people that Sam Page has appointed, as many of them of department heads, don't seem to have the drive and the wherewithal and the knowledge to keep a strong hand on this budget and look out for the taxpayers of St. Louis County. So we're going to have to take a more active role. Unfortunately, these people are highly paid, supposed to be good administrators, and yet when you talk about budgets, many of them, their eyes glaze over, and so then that leaves it to a council of basically volunteers to ride herd, so to speak, on these issues. So that's going to make it more challenging and more time spent trying to do jobs of people that should be doing these jobs in the first place.
You're going to have a busy year, watching out for that, but you're also going to have a busy year because you are running for state senate. Senator Andrew Koenig is terming out at the end of 2024. So wanted to turn some attention to you about that race. How is that race shaping up for you right now?
It's looking good. We're always raising money, having fundraisers. We're going to have more frequent fundraisers as we go into the new year. We're going to try to schedule something at least once a month. We're talking to our supporters. We're doing events. We've got some events coming up in January, not so much related to the campaign, but there will be community events. We have an opportunity on the 25th of January that a while back I did a town hall in October. We did a town hall about security in our neighborhoods and how we make our neighborhoods safe. And we had a town hall talking about that with all the police chiefs in West County. Now we're going to turn our attention to fentanyl and the drug epidemic we have in our communities overall. And we've got a gentleman and others from DEA that are going to be speaking at this town hall meeting. It'll be on the 25th of January, and it will be at the Baldwin Golf Course banquet room, and which is on Holloway Road. in Baldwin. I believe it's 333 Holloway Road. And we will have that on the 25th. It's starting at 6:30, and it will be just dealing with fentanyl and drugs and the problems we're having with that in our communities, both in West County and other places. And we'll probably also have somebody there from the FBI that will talk about how this gets into our country and how we can prevent it as citizens in our community. So it's going to be a great one topic focus at the town hall on that date. So we invite anybody that lives in West St. Louis County, of course, and anybody who wants to come from other places, they're more than welcome as well. And we hope to get that going here on the 25th.
Obviously, that's an important topic. I know there was a news story that I saw just a couple of days ago that they said they impounded, and I thought that can't be true, 10,000 pounds of fentanyl. 10,000 pounds. That was insane. I mean,
that would kill half the country.
It would. I mean, it's amazing as to what this problem is and the lack of response that we've seen from the federal government. So I appreciate you stepping out and doing an event like this. So I'm sure everybody who has an interest in what they can do to combat this deadly drug that's getting into our community to be a part of it. Hey, we're getting ready to get out of here, but I wanted to touch base with you. You got big New Year's Eve plans? You doing anything special?
No, that's for rookies, to get out there and be driving and drinking and all that kind of stuff. No, we'll probably have a few friends of ours over at the house and play a little ping pong and some board games and have some good food, and hope everybody else is doing the same and staying off the roads and being safe over the New Year's holiday.
Well, I appreciate you making the time today on this holiday week and spending some time with us. And I'm sure I will catch up with you soon after the first of the year.
Okay, we'll do.
St. Louis County Councilman Mark Carter, he is also running for state senate, who's going to have a very busy 2024, running all over the place. We are going to catch up. Ryan Wiggins is going to join us again on the other side of the break. Mike Elam sitting in today for Annie Frey on St. Louis's home for conservative talk on 97.1 FM Talk.
Mama told me when I was young, don't sit beside me, my only son.
Hey, it's Annie reminding you about where the Frey family shops and how we save each shopping trip by visiting Ruler Foods, the one closest to you. Easy to find. Just go to rulerfoods.com. What are you shopping for when you visit Ruler Foods? They've got great savings right now that I want you to know about. This go through January 2nd. Corned beef or pork steaks, $3.97 a pound. Who doesn't love a good pork steak? Kroger 73% lean ground beef, sold in a 3-pound roll. $3.66 a pound, and they also have great produce. We buy a ton of produce in our house at Ruler Foods, and they always have fresh, great produce for us to buy. Right now, avocados or mangoes are just 67 cents each. Save every day when you shop at Ruler Foods, and know that when you go through the aisles of Ruler Foods, everything's organized, really smart. It's clean, it's easy to shop, and it is impossible not to save on that grocery bill when you're shopping at Ruler Foods. Find the one closest to you by visiting rulerfoods.com.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 800 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code 800. LUMEdeodorant.com, code 800 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 800.
Hi, I'm Tom Hoffman, president of Tom Hoffman Heating and Air Conditioning. I'll beat any competitor's price on a new furnace right now. Just call me, 314-471-7625.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AA MCO.
We just want to know whether you are working this week or not and what that looks like. Is it basically the same as usual for you, minus Christmas? Are you working, but a little less than usual? Are you not working at all? We just want to know where you're listening. So tune in to the Annie Frey YouTube page there and vote in our poll because we're all curious as to what this week looks like for you. 1:43, this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Information with perspective on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk. Everyone is welcome.
Josie's on a vacation far away. Come around and talk it over.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
You know I like my girls a little bit older.
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
You know, we have to let this play a little bit, right?
I'm okay with that.
Here we go. I just had to wait for that drum beat to hit, right? So you do this song, it's like, this song doesn't age for me.
Who is that?
Outfield.
Oh, okay.
The Outfield.
I would have never guessed that.
They have two songs, really, and this was their biggest one. But this is one of those songs that just never gets old for me. Every time it comes on, I turn it up. I like that song, and I really don't know why.
I don't know what I know that song. I have no idea what he's saying. I'm like, all right, yeah, sing it.
That's it. It's like every song ever done by Elton John, right? You know half the words, and the other half you're like, I think I know that song, but I don't know. I don't know if I really understood what he was saying or what he wasn't saying.
Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza.
Exactly. There's always something like that. Hey, we were talking about earlier biggest stories that happened this year. Some you may remember, some you may have forgotten. So the spy balloon we talked about, the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, AI and Chat GPT that kind of got born. Something that I guess I just don't care about what happens in Hollywood anymore, that I stopped paying attention, was the whole actors and writers strike that happened in Hollywood.
Yeah, that was a slow motion story.
Yeah, the writers went on strike first, and then there's nothing for the actors to do. So the actors decided they were going to go on strike
yeah,
too.
I think their contracts just happened to end at similar times.
I could see
and
that.
So they said, let's just do it. Because I don't think they usually end like that.
Yeah.
Where they end at the same time.
Well, it was one of those kind of things where when the writers went on strike, everything new ended. Like there was nothing new that was going to happen. So it made sense for the actors to go on strike because they had nothing to do anyway.
Yeah, that was a weird time. The only way you really noticed it, you'll notice it now.
Right.
And after, and in 2024.
Yes.
Because all the stuff that would have been getting made this year didn't get made.
Yeah.
And that happened in 2008, too, where you just kind of, you don't notice it right away because everything you're watching was already done or was in post-production. But a year from now, then you notice it. But everything's so spread out now that I just don't know, because what you saw in the immediate was mostly junk talk shows.
Right.
That are on... not even soap operas. I think maybe they were affected too, but they bank so many of those at one time that I think they were able to weather a little bit better. But the Drew Barrymore thing and The View and The Talk and all these shows, they stopped because they couldn't use writers, and you go, man, how much is this is written? It's a talk show.
Yeah.
Like, how much do you need writers?
It's like, why do you have to have a room full of writers? It's like we were talking about Gutfeld the other day, right? There's 2 writers. So,
yeah.
Okay, and Gutfeld. And
I think they kept going because of that.
I believe they did.
They just said, well, we don't necessarily need it. And they might actually, because they're a news station and not an entertainment station, they might fall under different rules too. I'm not exactly sure.
Because you still had news anchors who were on.
Right.
And they're all union. Anybody who's on TV.
Yeah, but I think there might be a different union.
Okay.
So I think that may be why Gutfeld wasn't affected.
So he's still SAG-AFTRA. He's just not entertainment.
I'm not sure. I really don't know.
That could be like your IBEW 1 or your IBEW 4.
Yeah.
And you're both working video at the ballpark, but it depends on what crew that you're on as to what check you're getting.
I think that's true.
Yeah. It was just one of those stories where I was like, yeah, I remember that happened. And I remember I didn't care. There's so much content now that is put out there that I think a lot of us are just kind of like, yeah, don't care. It's like Chris was saying, anyone else noticed and no one cared. Yeah, I don't think people did. I agree with you. We're going to notice it more in 2024 because everything that was supposed to be getting done in 2023 didn't. So you're going to lose some content going into the next year. But I think you saw a lot of reality TV has become such a big deal that it's not as scripted. I say as because it's still scripted, but that's more video editors that made that up more than writers. So, and you don't have the Hollywood paid actors. So you have a lot of them that they kept generating content. So nobody really cared as to what was going on. But they got it settled. They got it all back done. It's funny, once the writer's strike got done, and you had about a month or so after that the actor's strike got done. So what happened in that month? The writers were writing. So they were waiting. Hey, does anybody have new content yet? Because I need a job. Oh, you're back? Okay, we're done. We're good.
It's funny. Usually something so inconsequential, you wouldn't even know it was happening. You know, this behind-the-scenes negotiations and stuff.
Right.
But those people have just such a loud voice.
They do.
That they made it a news story.
Well,
because we care about what happens in Hollywood.
You had Hollywood stars walking a picket line.
Yep.
And it's like, hey, I haven't seen that since 2008. So
yeah, you got some guy walking with a picket holding the sign. You're like, okay, whatever. Oh, wait, that's Bryan Cranston. You know?
Exactly.
So then it becomes a story.
It's like, wait, I know that guy.
Yeah. Oh, it's the nanny.
Hey, while you're holding that sign, can you sign this? Can I get a picture with you?
Exactly.
That'd be great. A couple of big strikes that happened. The UAW strike that went on, it didn't go on that long.
No, that was a story, and I almost feel like that was a story on the heels of the other union story, because they were happening somewhat at the same time, later, of course, but everybody went, oh no, how's this going to affect cars? And then it was resolved, I guess, fairly quickly.
It was an interesting way that the union went about doing the strike, because in years past, and I'm not an authority on how this happened, so if I don't get this completely right, help me fix it. But the UAW strike, rather than everybody at Ford go on strike or everybody at GM go on strike, they pinpointed specific factories around the country that were high volume, high demand vehicles for those particular manufacturers. And that's when they said, we're going to take the GM plant that is in Wentzville, because it manufactures the Colorado, and it's one of the most popular vehicles that GM has. So we're going to put them on strike, but we're going to keep everybody else who's working. So it was a very strategic squeeze, and it kept the majority of the union workers working. And I don't know how union dues get paid that get shared to support striking workers. I don't know how all that works, but I would guess from a UAW standpoint, it didn't hurt them nearly as bad as putting everybody on strike.
It's just smart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a smart negotiation.
It was a very interesting way to do it, and obviously it worked. I mean, they got it done. You started seeing, there's always the first domino who's going to fall. And one of the big three is going to make that deal. And once they do, then the pressure really becomes, okay, bar's been set. You're going to have to be at least here to make your deal. And everybody else is going to fall in line.
Yeah, I think the bigger story with that story to the larger economy was how much you're seeing. I don't know if just worker dissatisfaction is the right term, because that can mean a lot of things.
Yes.
But you're seeing a lot of industries have to renegotiate contracts. A lot of this is done behind the scenes. They don't become news stories. But they have to, because anytime, and Charles Payne talks about this, anytime you see inflation go up this fast, the majority of the workers, their pay's not going up that fast.
Right.
So you have this big push and pull going on between the labor force and the corporate suite that's happening not just in that industry, but in every industry across the United States where anybody's got any leverage. They're using that leverage right now and going, hey, my pay hasn't gone up by 25% in the last 2 years, so maybe we could negotiate something that would help me keep pace with inflation, because right now I'm basically losing money compared to what I had a couple of years ago.
Well, and we were talking about this off the air in between the break, inflation. So the Biden administration is out there trumpeting right now that inflation is falling. And what they're really not explaining, and it goes back to your Democrat talking points and how are they going to do this? They're telling you that inflation is falling. What it's really doing is increasing at a slower rate. And it's important to remember that when we had 9.1% inflation earlier this year, that is still in the number, right? So you grew, your prices went up 9.1%. Now, it's still going up. It's just only going up 3.7%. And they call that a win.
Yes.
Wait, remember, before they convince you, because as you said earlier, all the media sources are going to be out there, and they're going to be telling this thing over and over again. And as a lady and I were talking a couple of weeks ago, and she said, if you just keep telling a lie enough, eventually it becomes the truth, right? It will self-fulfill if you keep saying it. So they keep saying inflation is falling. It's really not falling. You're just not drowning as fast as you were before. But your water table is getting higher and your oxygen level is getting lower. Yeah. And to your point, you're going backwards. We actually had a bite from Stephen Miller. It was cut number 9. I don't know if you have a chance to play that real quick. I do. This is where you give the...
I mean, here's the thing. One of the things the Biden administration keeps saying is that prices are falling. No, prices aren't falling. They're still really high. It's just that the rate of increase of prices has come down. You see what I mean? So, in other words, instead of prices rising by 9%, now they're only rising by 3 to 4%. But that 20% increase in prices is baked in the cake. Everything you buy now is more expensive. By the way, the other day, my wife literally pulled me to the grocery store saying, Steve, you're coming with me because you don't know what these things really cost. $9 for a box of Cocoa Krispies and, $4 and $5 for a pound of ground beef. All these things are really expensive. Yeah.
My favorite thing about that is Stephen Miller is buying Cocoa Krispies. Stephen Moore is buying Cocoa Krispies.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that we just had our in-laws in town this weekend, and I have no idea what their political affiliation is. I really don't. But they live in Chicago, and she said, when I go to the grocery store, I am not kidding you, I'm paying $7 for a box of cereal.
Yeah. It's really crazy of what it costs these days. And if you haven't been to the grocery store for a while, you may have some shock waiting for you. Budget is the thing that we are going to talk about on the other side of the break. Missouri State Representative and Budget Chair Cody Smith is going to join us right here on the Annie Frey Show. Mike Elam filling in today on 97.1 FM Talk.
Listen to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan. In celebration of McKelvey Homes' 125th anniversary, we are having our biggest sale of the year. Save up to $89,000. Get special financing in the fives and free closing costs on all move-in ready homes. Visit The Preserve on Mackenzie Road near Watson, a beautiful community with 4 lakes, nature trails, and wooded home sites. We have a variety of homes from the 400s, including our villa and estate homes. Don't miss this opportunity to save big and get in before the holidays. Visit McKelveyHomes.com.
A powerful threat calls for a greater response.
When there's a battle, bring strength.
When there's a problem, seek answers.
When there is doubt, give hope.
Not tomorrow.
Not in a few years.
But right now.
Some battles must be faced together. Cancer fighters stand up to cancer every day. And you can be part of this battle too.
Visit standuptocancer.org/American Airlines to learn more.
Together, we can save lives.
Social Security is with you through life's journey from birth to retirement. As your life changes year to year, so do your needs. For over 80 years, Social Security has helped to meet your needs and is committed to improving access to the services that make a difference in your life. Today, you can verify your earnings, estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, manage your benefits, and even change your address, all from the comfort of your home. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
They're asking Mexico for help. I'm Tom Graham, Fox News. And the White House sending Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas to Mexico City. It comes amid the backdrop of a surge of migrants at the southern U.S. border. Fox's William Longinus.
The Biden administration is asking Mexico to do something it will not: deport asylum-seeking migrants and families coming to work, but DHS lets go on humanitarian grounds. Lukeville, Arizona, last night, agents apprehended more than 1,000 migrants, including 700 adult males. Agents fear it's going to get worse next weekend when Mexicans begin returning from Christmas in Mexico. Point is, the border is not secure.
Some major cities like Chicago, New York, asking for federal dollars to help provide for all the migrants coming into their communities.
We just got some updated totals. The city says it spent, get this, more than $3.1 billion from April 2022 through November of this year on the migrant crisis. New York City Mayor Eric Adams says American cities deserve better. Nearly 70,000 migrants remain in the city's care, and more keep coming. The mayor's office says nearly 200 migrants arrived Tuesday night at the Port Authority bus terminal.
Fox's CB Cotton in New York. The Michigan Supreme Court rejected an attempt to remove Donald Trump from its presidential primary ballot. Fox's Chad Pergram.
The Michigan Supreme Court upheld a decision by a lower court. The court's held that state law does not give election officials leeway to judge the eligibility of candidates. Now, former President Trump called the efforts to bar him from the ballot a, quote, pathetic gambit to rig the election.
The decision in contrast to Colorado's Supreme Court, which ruled to remove Trump, citing the 14th Amendment's insurrection clause. And tourists in France left disappointed today. A strike there has resulted in the Eiffel Tower being closed. America is listening to Fox News.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare information guide absolutely free. Call 800-919-3200. That's 800-919-3200. 800-919-3200.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
A windy and chilly 45 for the high this afternoon. Feeling like late December now, though plenty of sunshine. Tonight, more and more clouds take over. 35. Wednesday, periods of rain. Some big old sloppy wet snowflakes mixing in from time to time. It's cold, 42 degrees. Wednesday night, rain, some wet snow mixed in, 32. And Thursday will start with a little bit of light snow and a cloudy 42 Thursday afternoon. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. Make recycling part of your holiday season. If you get a new computer, tablet, or cell phone this year, recycle your old one by selling it or donating it to charity. Otherwise, dispose of it at a proper e-waste facility. Recycle your Christmas tree by turning it into wood chips and mulch. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com.
Warmest wishes for a joyous holiday season and a happy new year from your friends at Odyssey and Onder Law Injury Lawyers.
The voice for hardworking, free-thinking Americans.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
It's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey today on this hump day version of a holiday week of the Annie Frey Show, which brings up our YouTube live chat poll. Are you working this week? Basically the same as usual, a little but less than normal, or nope. So log in on the YouTube live chat poll. By the way, you guys on the chat are really cracking me up today, right? So sometimes Scooter's pretty much negative about anything that has anything to do with Republican stuff. But Scooter's got some interesting comments today that I'm thinking you should cut back on the sugar. I'm just saying. Those are some interesting comments that you put up today. But the back and forth is really cracking me up. So if you want to interact with the Anti-Fry community, that is a great place to go. So just log on, watch the stream, get to know the folks that are on here, because the Anti-Fry Show has some of the most interactive listeners of any show that I've ever done. So always good to hang out and interact with them. Want to see what you think. If you're working this week or you're not working this week, a guy who is probably trying to get ready for what's going to be a busy 5 months is Cody Smith, state representative, who is also the Missouri House Budget Chair. Representative, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me.
By all means. So where do we find you today? Where are you spending this Wednesday?
Yes, Mike. Well, I'm in Carthage, and you are exactly right. I am preparing for the legislative session, which begins next week. I can't believe it's here already.
Man, so you are our longest-serving House Budget Chair since term limits came into play. Is that true?
That's right. Yeah, I'm in my third term as the House Budget Chairman, and next session, will be my 6th year in that role. And since term limits come in, unfortunately, we haven't had a lot of continuity in the Budget Chairman's office or necessarily the Speaker's office or the Floor Leader's office. It's just kind of the nature of the process at this point. Generally, by the time you get to serve in one of those jobs or those capacities, you're there for a couple of years and then you're term limited. So I was fortunate or unfortunate enough, depending on how you look at it or who you ask, to be put in that role early on in my legislative career. And it's really helped me establish myself and learn a lot about the process and provide some continuity in that office and some institutional knowledge. So it's been a real honor to do it for this long.
I had former state representative John Weeman, who was on with us yesterday, just kind of looking at a preview of what's coming up next year. But that was one of the things that we talked about in state government, especially in the House. There is this lack of continuity year over year because the leadership tends to change every couple of years. So it's very unusual. We have a guy like you with the expertise that you have to continue to ride this through. And while you've been budget chair, there's been a lot of changes in the amount of money that Missouri has to use, hasn't there?
There has. Yes, we've been through good years and bad years, I would say. We've been through a pandemic. We've been through gubernatorial change. A governor resigned from office and have a new governor come in, and it's been quite an interesting ride. But in that time there, I've seen the budget through thick and thin, I guess you'd say. And so I've made budget cuts, and I've also served in a time where we had some extra revenues to do things like invest in our transportation infrastructure network. And so seen a little bit of everything in that course of time.
So this past year's budget, were we at $50 billion? Was that the number that we were at?
We were just a little over $50 billion. And a lot of that was, Mike, the federal stimulus money that you saw go out across the states. Congress, in their infinite wisdom, decided, in reaction to the pandemic, to send out probably too much money to each state, and then told the states, if you don't spend it in your state, then send it back to Washington, and we'll figure out a way to spend it for you. And so all of the states were put in that predicament where they had this federal money to spend. They had a certain time with which to spend it, or a timeline with which to spend it, and the threat of, if we're in Missouri, that we could send it back and it might go to a state like Illinois or California or New York. And so looking for ways to responsibly invest it into our state's infrastructure particularly was the name of the game as it resulted in that federal stimulus. So now that money has started to get out of the state treasury, I think you'll see the budget contract naturally, and we'll get back under that $50 billion mark. But yeah, that was a kind of the high watermark that we saw after all that federal stimulus money coming out of the pandemic.
I guess it's kind of a blessing and a curse all at the same time that says, hey, here's all this money. so you can go address needs that you have, like infrastructure that you're talking about. But you also don't want to get people addicted to that. You don't want them used to the fact of, hey, look at all this money that we have, because when that money goes away, to what you're talking about, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to make some hard choices. So as you go into 2024, what do you see as being the hard choices you're going to have to make in this next budget?
Yes, well, that's exactly right. You've nailed it. That one-time money needs to go for one-time purposes, and for things that we can appropriate for in the state government level that won't create an ongoing need. And so that's been an additional challenge, just like the challenges that you've seen there at the county level, very similar to the state level. And so getting back into what I would call a more normal budget cycle going into the next year, really the first part of the story are tax cuts. And the good news is that we're going to see tax relief on the way to Missourians. And I was able to pass a bill a couple of years ago. It was the summer before last that created the largest income tax cut in the state's history. And that has a series of revenue triggers baked into it that will continue to cut the state's income tax rate over the course of time. And what we ultimately would like to do is get rid of our state income tax entirely. But this is a process with which the state income tax will be reduced over the course of time. And in the short term, that is saving taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. It will save taxpayers about $1 billion once that's fully phased in. In addition to that, we were able to pass a tax cut last year, or earlier this year, actually. I'm getting my years confused since we're so close to the end of the year here. But earlier this year, in the last legislative session, we cut all the income taxes on Social Security benefits, which seems like an obvious thing to do and something that we should have done a long time ago. But Social Security recipients will start to see the advantages or reap the benefits of no Missouri income taxes on their Social Security benefits. And that totals about $300 million in savings to the taxpayer. And so the good news is, like I say, we've been able to cut taxes and we're starting to see those take place. What that means for the budgetary outlook is that revenue is essentially flat after those tax cuts. So we have to make sure that government is living within its means. We are a balanced budget state in the state of Missouri. Thank goodness for that. It's a constitutional requirement that we must spend no more than what we bring in from a revenue perspective. And so I've got my eye on flat revenues, looking at programs like our Medicaid program, which is always more expensive, looking at things like funding public education, which is, we generally see increases there every year, and figure out how to pay for those without going out of balance in the budget process. And so that's the name of the game now, trying to fit everything within that revenue estimate that we have, which is essentially flat. And but like I say, the good news at the end of the day is that we are getting those tax cuts into fruition, and we see tax relief coming to Missourians.
We're talking with Missouri State Representative Cody Smith. You're at the 163rd District, correct?
That's right. We have 163 districts. I like to say they saved the best for last. I'm 163rd.
Well, I'd say you're kind of the Brock Purdy of the legislature, because Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers was Mr. Irrelevant just a couple of years ago, right? He was the last guy picked in the NFL draft, but this year he's up for MVP because he's having that kind of a rock star year. And I would say, but 6 years as budget chair, that's Mr. MVP, because it all comes down to money. I know Senator Eigel is one of his regular refrains is Missouri doesn't have a revenue problem. Missouri has a spending problem. And it's not so much we have a problem getting more money to Jeff City. We have too much money that Jeff City is holding on to and not giving back to the citizens. So I know you are throwing your hat in the ring to be state treasurer. And that brings up a whole other area of responsibility in trying to do responsible government, which are two words that we rarely put together these days. But what do you see being the big challenge for the state of Missouri in the treasurer's position that you're hoping to take over?
Yeah, well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about that, Mike. I am running for state treasurer, and I think that experience that we talked about as the House Budget Chairman for several years has really qualified me well to do the job of state treasurer, and given me the experience and the record with which voters can look at to see that I'm a conservative Republican. I've governed as a conservative Republican and made smart fiscal choices in the name of good government and less taxes and efficiencies. And so I would take that experience, that record, to the Office of the State Treasurer. And really, the State Treasurer's first responsibility, obviously, is to manage the State Treasury. And that really looks like a series of short-term, low-risk investments that are managed through the State Treasurer's office. But also, more importantly, those things are pretty tightly controlled by statute and by constitutional framework. But who we do business with in Missouri is very important, and we can choose to do business with large corporate financial institutions that invest with things like invest in ESG and those types of government-oriented social programs in these large hedge funds, and kind of the woke culture has made its way into investing somehow, and it's not only about profit anymore. We can choose to do business with those folks, or we can choose to do business with Missouri institutions that are investing in their communities, to loan out money to Missourians for, to build homes, to buy homes, to loan money to businesses, to create jobs and grow the economy. And those are the two choices as I see it. And certainly I would err on the side of the latter, which would be to invest with Missouri institutions that are turning around, taking those deposits with the state and putting them back into the Missouri economy. And then the other thing I will mention is the Most Scholars Program, which is the largest school choice victory that we've accomplished in the Missouri legislature in the last probably 20 years. In 2021, we set up a tax credits funded scholarship program that enables certain families to receive scholarships for their children, and then lets them choose on how those scholarship dollars are spent. So they could spend it on tuition, on curriculum, on software or hardware like tablets, laptops, those types of things, software programs to help their children learn and to close the gap really that they've experienced with the pandemic learning loss. And again, that magic ingredient is that the families get to choose what's best for their kids. And that program is really great. It's administered through the Treasurer's office. The only problem is it's not available to every child across the state. It's limited to cities above 35,000 people, of which there are about 20 cities, by the way. And then everybody else in the rest of the state isn't eligible for it. And so I'm going to file legislation this year, Mike, to lift that geographic restriction. And as state treasurer, I would do everything in my power to expand that program, to foster that program, and make it a tool in the toolbox for every Missouri family to provide their child with a world-class education, because that's what they deserve. And so that's the other piece of the Treasurer's office that I'm really interested in.
You know, I think we're very lucky to have a guy like you with great experience in putting our budget together moving forward. It's sad that we have to lose you in the role that you're in, but I wish you the very best in moving to the state level and being able to put that expertise into action for us at that state level. But appreciate you making time today. Thanks very much. I wish you the very best, because everybody that we've talked to so far, in looking ahead to the session in 2024, seems like it's going to be a very unique session, because you have a lot of people who are in the same boat as you that are running for statewide office, or they're running for Senate, or they're running for something else. And it seems like it's going to be a tough year to get bills passed. So I wish you the very best in having success of trying to get the stopgap measures in that you're trying to get done.
Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to be with you, and would love to join you any other time that you'll have me. And I wish you all the very best in St. Louis. I hope you had a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Representative. We appreciate the time. That is State Representative Cody Smith from the 163rd. We have 163 state rep districts, and he, as he says, they save the best for last. I like that. He's our state budget chairman. And, it's one of those kind of things where you wanted me to be done, didn't you? You just pulled me down just like that.
No.
It's like, finish that thought. It's one of those things that I get why we have term limits. I really do. I understand why we did that. But, man, you just have no continuity in our state government. You have a speaker for a couple of years, and then they move on, and it just feels like there's got to be a better solution, because people who deal with Jeff City on a regular basis understand who really runs Jeff City for the most part, because if you're the lobbyist, you know you can just wait people out. The first couple of years when people coming in, they're just trying to figure out how everything works. And by the time you get to your last couple of years, you're looking for, where do I go from here? Because I'm about to leave. So realistically speaking, you've got about 5 years to be a really good legislator out of the 8 that you're there. So it just gets to be tough from a continuity of government standpoint. I know there's got to be a better solution. I don't know what can get passed that the voters are going to be willing to buy into, but we'll see. I'm just looking forward to watching this next year, and it's kind of like when Mark Reardon was talking about he wants Cori Bush to go away, but he doesn't, because Cori Bush at least gives you content to use on a radio show on a regular basis, because every time you think she's done about the dumbest things that she could possibly do, she's like, here, hold my beer, watch this. I'm going to one-up what I just did. So you want her for a content standpoint, but you don't want her because she's just bad for government. She's bad for the people. And you don't want to see all the infighting that's going to happen in this next legislative session. So you just pray that they're going to see the greater good and everybody's going to work together for the state of Missouri. And we're going to have a really good session in 2024. Keep hope alive, as Jesse Jackson used to say, right? So Ryan Wiggins is going to join us. Ryan Wiggins is going to join us on the other side of the break. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie Frey today. St. Louis is home for Conservative Talk, 97.1 FM Talk.
Make sure you have this number saved in your phone. I'm talking about Air Comfort Service. I'm talking about the people who will quickly get you into your comfort zone this winter when you realize, oh no, there's something going on with the furnace, or there's an issue that you have with the temperature control in your house. The number to put in your phone, you never know when you're going to need it, but you want to make sure you have it when that time comes. 314-513-0091. They offer 24-hour emergency service. 314-513-0091. One of the services that they offer that has been put into my house, I'm so grateful for it, is that whole home humidifier. During these dry months, you might experience static shocks, wood furniture, and your floors cracking all the time, and your skin getting super dry and cracked and itchy and nosebleeds. My son gets those in our house. When we put in the whole home humidifier, we could get rid of the big clunky humidifier sitting in the hall, and now the air is as comfortable as it can possibly be. Like I said, call them at 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
Ever heard a podcast that made you say, wow, they really said that? Risk is the show where people tell true stories they never thought they'd dare to share. Listeners say the show makes them burst out laughing and crying. Good crying. Some say it saved their lives. Surprising honesty. The most jaw-dropping moments that are stranger than fiction. Think you've heard it all? Wait till you hear Risk. Available on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Want to make a meaningful resolution for 2024? Learning a new language with Rosetta Stone helps you reignite your sense of adventure and broaden your perspective, whether you plan to travel the world or just want to finally commit to improving your Spanish. Their award-winning app features lessons as short as 5 minutes to make it easy to stick with your resolution. Plus, they offer live lessons where expert tutors teach fun new words related to local holidays, cultural traditions, food and drink, and more during engaging live streams. With Rosetta Stone, you'll learn the language and the culture. Their lifetime subscription gives you access to all 25 of their languages forever, and you can get it for 50% off right now. You'll pay once and enjoy forever, so you don't need to worry about another monthly subscription. This limited time offer ends soon, so hurry to rosettastone.com/radio to get a lifetime subscription for just $199. Make a resolution you'll actually want to keep with Rosetta Stone.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsl.honorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. Keeping you connected and aware.
In the world, the country, and the community.
And offering more ways than ever to listen conveniently. Tell your smart speaker to play 97.1 FM Talk or download the Odyssey app. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
It's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey today, and if you aren't watching us on YouTube, I highly encourage you to go do that. Not because I'm awesome looking, because I'm not. Mom always said I had a face for radio, but there's just great content that goes on the side. There's a whole other show that is happening on the YouTube feed. If you go on there and you get involved in the comments of what's going on. So it's a show that for some of the stuff we really just can't say on the radio, but it's fun to watch the conversation as it happens, and just appreciate everybody who's interacting and being a part of what's going on today in the Annie Frey Show. Our YouTube live chat poll is still up there. Are you working this week? You got three choices. Basically, it's a regular week for me. I'm working a little less, or nope, I got the whole week off. So I'm off all week long for my full-time job. Then I get to play here for a couple of days, and then I'm done.
How do you answer that question then?
I'd say a little less.
A little less than usual?
A little less than usual. So
I would say, other than the fact that I'm off Friday, you kind of take Christmas out of the equation, because almost everybody's going to be off on Christmas.
You were off on Monday.
Unless you're a healthcare worker or a first responder of some kind.
Yep.
You're off on Monday. But I'm also off on Friday. So I guess I would have to say a little bit less, but I feel like I'm packing. That's the whole thing, is you end up just packing the whole week into 3 days.
True.
Instead of into 4 or 5.
So no X's and O's on Friday.
No X's and O's this week.
Wow.
No, I think it was going to be tough to get guests on this week too.
I could see that.
Because everybody's off. Everybody's schedule is just so weird. You know, that's one of the great things about this week, is that you're kind of expected to take it off, or at least phone it in.
I think that's true. I mean, I remember when I was in radio sales way back when, and we used to have to come in at work this week, or you would have to take vacation days, right? And pretty much every ad agency that we called on, they were off this week.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we're closed. Our clients aren't open. We're not open. Our clients are looking at other things to try and wrap up the year. And the last thing they want to do is talk about spending more money.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to be involved in that, and they want to be done. Quick Rick is very funny. He said, yes, there is a whole sideshow that's going on the YouTube feed. And there is. That is very true.
He also said Ryan needs to wear a cap.
Yeah, I didn't wear my hat this week.
Because he says you look like Mike.
Kind of just rolling out of bed.
Oh, you look like... Mike's not as bald as he looks like on this feed, to be honest with you. But if you look at the feed, Ryan and I both look like we have no hair.
Yeah, I think it's the way the headband hits and the angle. We look balder than we usually are.
And I look really bald. By the way, I brought in some cookies and cupcakes and cake balls that we had for Christmas that have been a big hit. And so you asked me, Leah, where did I get those? My wife told me Sugar and Slice Bakery on Main Street.
St. Charles?
Of course, St. Charles. Main Street, there is no other Main Street. So Main Street, historic Main Street, St. Charles, Sugar and Slice Bakery, awesome stuff. So
just so you know, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were in town. They just left this morning.
Okay.
But they stayed past Christmas because they're from Chicago, and they wanted to shop the antique stores in St. Louis for a couple of furniture items. And they know that we have a little bit different selection, maybe a little less picked over depending on where you go, and a little cheaper down here than in Chicago.
Okay.
So they did that. They said the best places they found, they went all over the place. They went to Alton. They went to Cherokee Street. A lot of places were not open yesterday.
Oh, I can see that.
But they said their favorite place, downtown St. Charles.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've been there, but I remember it's just nice.
It is nice. Christmas Traditions was huge this year in St. Charles. Have you ever done that?
It's been a long time, but I think I did a while, like before kids. I think we did it.
They do such a nice job, and I really appreciate Mayor Borgmeyer because he shuts down Main Street on the weekend for Christmas Traditions. And there are so many people. It's something that needed to happen a long time ago. I'm surprised people didn't get run over, to be honest with you, because they would just jet out from in between cars and you didn't see them coming.
Yeah.
It's not like you can really speed down that street because of all the cobblestones and the dips and everything that does. You better have a nice suspension if you're going to speed down that street.
It's done now, though, right?
Christmas traditions is complete.
It's done because
yes.
I know a lot of places are. This week still goes for a lot of like Brewery Lights is still going this week.
So we're going to do that. We did
We
Zoo
were talking
Lights
about
last
it too.
night.
Oh, we were talking about doing that too. Except we've done that 2 years in a row, and I think the kids are like, well, maybe we could try, shake it up a little bit this year, do something else.
So we're going to do Zumwalt Park either tonight or tomorrow night. So Zumwalt Park is in O'Fallon, Missouri. Really nice light display. We've done Shaw Park in the past, which was really cool.
Zumwalt. I don't know that we've done Zumwalt Park. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, that's probably a pretty good drive for you.
Yeah,
coming from Illinois. So
speaking of which, in Illinois, and we gave away a whole bunch of tickets to this 2 Fridays ago.
Yeah.
Wonder Lights at the Gateway Racetrack.
Oh, yeah.
Is still going on this week. We did it on Christmas Eve, so 2 days before. And it's great. And in fact, a little bit of plug for them just because they're nice enough to give us a bunch of free tickets to give away.
That was nice.
But they, I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I was thinking maybe it was 21 because it might have still been COVID.
Okay.
It felt like it was shorter to me when we drove through. And this year it almost felt like it was double as long.
Wow.
Because you can make the route go through the racetrack in a number of different ways.
I could see that.
But you have to have the lights to do it. And so I think that this year is the longest version of Wonder Lights that I've been to.
Wow.
So a little bit of plug for that because it is a lot of fun and it is still going this week. So
this was the first year that we had done the lights at the Botanical Garden. And that was really cool. The only thing that it was rainy, misty like this when we went through.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a little bit of a bummer. But
I agree. It's fun to roll the windows down for some reason when you're looking at lights.
Well, this is a walkthrough.
It is? Okay.
At the Botanical Garden, it's a walkthrough. And it's really nice. Our friends are members. I've only been to the Botanical Garden like one other time in my life. And it wasn't for lights. So this was really cool. So I enjoyed that. I don't know if you have a favorite that you've ever been through, a light display, but we used to do Tillis Park and drive through Tillis Park. That was always really cool. So on the Illinois side, one of my old radio engineers, Marshall Rice, he's been on What's Up with That Christmas House on TV twice because they do this huge display at their house and they hand make everything. And they put together a radio station so you can drive by and you can tune the dial and hear Christmas music.
And that's the way Wonder Lights is, too. It's all tuned to the music that you listen to. Yeah.
So he did the same thing, but his display got so big, it started spilling into the neighbor's yard. And the neighbors, rather than complain, said, hey, can we join in on this? And they started making more and putting it in each neighbor to the side of them. And then the neighbor across the street said, can I join in? So they put more over there. So it just continues to grow. And as cars go by, they collect donations that they give to a charity every year.
And what city is this in again?
Troy, Illinois. In Troy, Illinois.
I knew about this.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that's what we were talking about the same thing.
So it's in Troy, Illinois, and it's just a house. It's not a business, and it's just something that, they have a passion for. And Marshall's one of the best radio engineers I've ever worked with in my life. He was really good. Still is. I shouldn't make it sound like he's not with us anymore. He is. But
he's doing fine.
He's doing fine. He's probably looking to find ways to pay for that electric bill that he's got going on.
He's in a better place, Troy, Illinois.
He's in Troy, Illinois. Not Troy, Missouri. You would make the wrong drive for something like that. But there's all kinds of cool displays. I hope you get a chance to go out and enjoy those before the year is up. We are getting ready to wrap up the big show. So I'm going to go ahead and break here.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap up everything on the other side. Still want to talk about some of the news stories that happened this year that you may or may not have forgotten about that were some of the biggest stories of the year. Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey today, at least for the next 25 minutes or so, on 97.1 FM Talk.
Years go by, I'm looking through a girl's magazine. There's my whole angel on the pages in between. My blood runs cold, my memory has just been sold. My angel is the centerfold, angel is the centerfold. My blood runs cold, my memory has just been sold.
Winter is here. Not as cold yet, but I'm pretty confident the cold weather is going to be here. So I just want to let y'all know, save my number in your phone for when your furnace does break. you'll know who to call, and we can get right out there and take care of you. With that said, we have been experiencing some problems with our phones going up and down. We got the phone people trying to figure out what's going on here. But if you call and you do not get a response, two things have happened. Our phones are down, or you called the wrong company. If you do not get a response from us, or if you call and nobody responds back to you, go to my website. That is Bart Inman. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I. You should actually save that too, with the phone number, 314-293-2600. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. And it's the only number for Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Merry Christmas and God bless.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now, or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-217-1155. That's 800-217-1155. 800-217-1155.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
The vote is in. STL Today has certified the result. Onderlaw has been voted 2023's best law firm in St. Louis.
When you're injured, call Onder Law at 314 or 618-9000000.
Well, we've been talking about it all day, and I think you at least know somewhat what our answer would be to the poll question. Are you working this week? Basically the same as usual is one answer. A little, but less is another. And then nope, not at all is the last choice. Let us know. And then, hey, if you're working more than usual, I guess you'll have to leave us a comment. We'd like to read those. We've been highlighting them throughout the show. We'll let you know the results of this poll in just a minute here. It is 2:39 now at 97.1 FM Talk. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Leaves are falling all around. Time I was on my way.
So we were talking about Christmas lights and all that stuff, and just enjoying getting out and enjoying what's left of the holiday season. My dad's joining us for a little bit, so Dad, say hi.
Hi.
There you go. At least he said something.
You did it.
I
Good
did
job.
it. Yay.
Excellent. Hello.
Very excited about that. So my dad is 91. He is a retired Southern Baptist minister. So I think he's not talking now because he used up all his words.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your life's work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So for 58 years, he was there. People would ask me, like, where did you get your voice? And I'm like, I got it from him because I learned to project, because most of the time when I grew up in little small towns. I was born in Donovan, Missouri. Then we moved to Piggott, Arkansas, and then we moved to Berryville, Arkansas. So I know you're thinking, wow, lucky guy to live in those booming metropolises like that, right? We never lived in a town that was over 3,700 people until I went to college. Right. So when I went to Arkansas State, I was like, wow, Jonesboro, Arkansas is huge.
So did you just get moved from church to church throughout your career then?
No, I chose.
You chose to move?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Southern Baptists, they make their own decisions.
That's right. Yeah,
Southern
I guess
Baptist
depending on the denomination.
is a bottom up, not top down.
Right. Methodists kind of move you around.
They
right?
do, yeah. So for all the people in St. Louis who are Catholic, which is the majority of people here, I guess, because everybody plays soccer. Thanks for playing. Anyway, Catholic is complete top down, and Baptist is flip it on its on its head and it's bottom up. That's the biggest difference I can tell you in how they work. There's a lot of other faith things, but still, that's kind of how that works. So I just wanted to have my dad in to actually say hi. I'm glad that A, he's still with us, and B, that he wanted to come play and find out, what are you doing for your part-time job? Didn't you start off doing this? I did.
You're back doing it.
It's like Berryville, Arkansas all over again when I was 15 years old. I'm back in radio.
Well, you got to tell us then, is he better now or was he better when he was younger?
He's a little better now.
Better now?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
He just says that because he wants a ride home. It's a long walk back to Springdale, Arkansas, man. So we're going to do that.
He's battle tested now.
That's right. So thanks to Amber and Rick and Scooter for all weighing in there. Hey, I wanted to talk a little bit more about these big stories that happened this year in the last few minutes that we have. So we talked about the spy balloon, the train deployment, the derailment, AI. The war in Ukraine just continues. So it didn't start this year. It actually started in 22, but it seems to be, it's one of those big stories that it just doesn't end. And it feels like the way that we're fighting it with them, it's not going to. We're just doing what we can to keep this thing rolling. It feels like, what was that movie where the guys who just sold munitions to everybody, the arms dealer guys, that's like, we
Back
don't want
to the Future.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want the war to end. We just want it to keep going, because if it keeps fighting, we're selling weapons to everybody. So as long as we're doing that, we're continuing to make money. So we just need to keep selling weapons to everybody.
That's funny. I wouldn't have guessed that one would be on the list this year, because you'd almost have to put that in a category like the border, for instance. That's been a huge story, but it's not like this year has been any different than 2022 or 2021. It just continues to get worse. And everybody keeps pointing at more and more people are pointing at it going, that's a problem.
Right.
And they're just not addressed. Oh, no, it's not.
Yep.
It's fine. Nothing to see here.
Just keep moving. We're moving on. There's nothing to see here. One of the stories that I forgot about was SpaceX put two huge rockets, 400-foot tall rockets, that they have launched this year. And they're trying to get to where they were with their smaller version, to where it's reusable capsules, right? So they want a reusable manned capsule to come back. And so far in the launches that they've had, they've both exploded.
Yeah.
But what's funny, and this goes to show you that Elon Musk has way too much money. They were all applauding and, yeah, all right. I'm like, your rocket just exploded. What am I missing here?
Yeah, that's a weird story to be one of the top stories of the year, I thought. But you're right. It is one of the strangest stories of the year, because we've covered that a little bit just because it was going on.
Right.
But then after the day, you don't ever think about it again.
Nope.
It had no bearing on your life. It was just one of those, oh, hey, okay.
Right.
Things. But the reaction is so strange, and I've constantly asked myself, should I be questioning that they're clapping about this so much, or is it an actual win? I can't tell if it's spin or if they actually did accomplish something.
They seem very excited because it continues to move in stages, right? So all they're looking to do is move the process forward. So the first launch that they had, I think, was back in March. And it made it to a certain level, and then it exploded. And then they did another one, and I think that was September. My dates could be wrong. And that one made it further along and got to the next stage before it exploded. Okay. So they're excited about the progress that they're seeing, because remember, this is private money that's doing this. This isn't NASA.
And that's the story.
It is the story. And they're moving to that point because, Jeff Bezos was trying to say, wait, but mine's bigger than yours. Look at my rocket that I did.
And I have William Shatner.
Exactly.
That was the difference.
But his people just went up, made a loop, and then came back down. And it was, what was it, like 90 seconds that they were actually out of orbit, and then they came back. So it wasn't that big of a deal for what they did, but it's Bezos' way of saying, hey, I'm just as good as Musk, and I'm going to keep pace here. But Musk seems to be on a different level. Bezos' Blue Origin project just hasn't made it as far yet. And Blue Origin made 0 headlines this year with the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah, other than Shatner.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. The Wagner Group in Russia was one of the big stories that happened because you had the Wagner Group revolt against Putin.
This was what, July?
I believe so. So you had that happened, and it looked like he was marching his way to Moscow, and then all of a sudden stopped and decided not to go further with it. And then there was the whole, okay, he and Putin have made up, right until the point where his plane exploded. So it was
you
like,
go, yeah, you hear about the reports, and you go, okay, something's happening. And then you go, I will never know what happens after this because Russian state media is going to take it over.
Exactly.
And anything I knew has now been shut down.
And they were all together and everything was good, but the Wagner Group is still around. And it just goes to show you that I don't understand foreign languages because I thought it was the Wagner Group. Evidently, it's the Wagner Group. But if you spell it out, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
I'm like, and it doesn't sound nearly as scary. If you say the Wagner Group is coming, the Wagner Group is coming.
Yeah.
The Wagner Group scares you.
Yeah, you got my attention
The Wagner
now.
Group is selling real estate. It's one of those kind of things.
And on Star Trek, speaking of which, they always said, the Russian guy on the show, I can't remember his name, on the original show, he always said vodka. So do they switch the V and the W sounds?
I guess so.
Okay.
I'm going to go with that's what it is. Another story that I forgot about was the Titan sub that exploded underwater.
This story drove me crazy.
Why?
I hated this story.
Why?
Because it told me, in fact, I would say that the minute it became a story, I said, okay, slow news cycle. Because anytime you go into a personal interest story about something, and everything about this was just, because it was the Titanic and it's drama. I don't know why it drove me crazy, other than to say it almost seems like they created drama because they needed something for people to pay attention to.
I bet if it wasn't the Titanic, to your point, we never would have heard anything about it.
Exactly.
It probably would have happened and we would have went, that's really sad for those 5 people and their families. But beyond that, does this affect my life? And I think that's one of those stories. It hit and it went away.
It was 2 weeks of, and that's the other thing is that somebody knew in a newsroom somewhere that these people are dead.
Yeah.
And they said, you know what, though? There's a 0.05% chance that they couldn't be. Let's run with the 0.05.
And that was really the thing that made people mad about it after the fact, I think, is they went, no, you knew.
Mm-hmm. And they milked it.
Yeah, after the fact, you really got that idea. And you had people that were kind of holding on and say, oh, well, that will be a great story if they actually find them and bring them back. But not so much. So that one went away.
I'll give them that. It would have been an amazing story if they had found them and rescued them.
Yes.
And they, oh my gosh, they had 0.1% of oxygen left and we saved. I mean, that would have been an amazing story.
It would have.
And that's what they ran with, that, you could be witnessing something that you'll remember for the rest of your life. But I think knowingly that wasn't going to happen.
No, it sounds like probably a minute or two into this ride is when this thing exploded and they were done then. Which was a weird explosion that happened with it, but I don't know that much about it, but it was just a story that I went, oh yeah, I forgot all about that happening.
Yeah, back to the Wiggins America point, the media can decide what you're interested in. They don't necessarily decide the way you think about the issue, but they can make you pay attention to something, and that is a perfect example of that. No politics involved,
right?
But just that they decided you care about these people now, and you did.
You did,
to some extent. Because I learned their names and I learned their stories. Now I kind of care.
Human interest stories.
And that could have been a blip on the news that lasted maybe 30 seconds in a different news cycle.
Very true. The other big stories were wildfires. So the Canadian wildfires were a very big story for a while. Not so much in the Midwest and in the West, but in the Northeast, huge story. Because I was up in Rhode Island, and the air quality up there was so bad from the Canadian wildfires that burned. And I think it burned like over 25 million acres. And I didn't even think about that type of forestry in Canada. I don't know why. I just don't think about the Canadian landscape. But when I think of that, I wasn't thinking about that part of it. But then you had the Hawaiian wildfire.
Oh, yeah.
That just completely devastated that community.
And I almost completely forgot about that. That was a big deal.
That was a huge deal. And when you saw the pictures and you started hearing the stories, that was just a crazy story of people running into the ocean to try and survive. And some people actually got burned while they were in the water, that the fire was that bad. So it was crazy stories of what was going on. But the wildfire portion of it was something that I didn't think about. King Charles's coronation was a story that was big. So my wife will still watch pretty much anything to do with Princess Diana. I don't know why, but there are, and it seems to be more women than men, granted, but there are a lot of women that are really into the Princess Diana story. And because it was the real life fairy tale that happened, right?
Yeah.
So they've hated King Charles ever since because of how that played out. But the coronation was this year. So the Queen died last year, but the coronation was this year.
Okay.
And it's the first time you've had that happen in 70 years. So that became a big story. What was some of the other stuff? The speaker removal. So having the speaker for the first time. I mean, you had a bunch of speaker stories that happened this year. Because it took 15 ballots to get a speaker, first of all, to get this thing started. McCarthy comes in. He makes all these concessions that he probably never should have made. But that's what he had to do to get into the office. So he got into the office. And then after 15 ballots, he gets that. It only took one guy to go back and get him thrown out. So then they lose. And then who's going to be speaker? Well, here's everybody who's in leadership that we're saying no to. You want this guy? Nope. How about this guy? Nope. This guy's thinking about it. Don't tell him to do it. Yeah, it's a no. He's
that
not
was some
get
political drama.
That was crazy, right? And that's something that we haven't seen in our lifetimes that have happened.
You know what's funny about that story is that Annie interviewed Kevin McCarthy on this show while he was speaker. Then he was kicked out of office. And then I think last week or the week before, she interviewed Mike Johnson.
Oh, wow.
So it was
Mike
the first
Johnson
time
wasn't worried that he was going to lose his job after being on the show?
We didn't tell him about Kevin McCarthy. He knew about what had happened in D.C. We didn't want to tell him what happened in St. Louis.
There you go. Let's keep them separated.
But I think that's the first time that, I don't want to speak for all the other shows here, but it's definitely the first time since I've been on the Annie Frey Show that the Speaker of the House has been on, and then, boom, he's gone. And then the next guy's on. We couldn't have expected that.
I think it speaks to the fact of how popular the Annie Frey Show is. And the power
that's
that
all
it
they
has
talk about in D.C. these days.
Nationally.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
Yeah.
Hey, let's look at the results of our poll. Are you working this week? It's a normal week for me. I'm working a little less, or nope, I'm not working at all. Or if you're like me, I'm working a side hustle gig for a while this week. Mr. Wiggins, this is a little less of a week for you, like we talked about.
So, yeah, I would be in that middle category on this poll. The choices are basically the same as usual. A little less, or a little bit, a little less, and then nope. So those are your three choices. I'm going to pull up the results right now. And it looks like, anybody got any guesses as to who is tuning in to the Annie Frey Show this week as far as what they're doing at work?
I'm going to say the majority of people are not working this week. But they're addicted to Annie Frey, so they're still in.
Leah, any guesses?
Yeah, I think a little bit less is going to be the top one.
I think Leah needs a choice of a lot more.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, what am I doing? Then I was like,
well, there's a tie here.
Okay.
So the tie is between nope, no work at all, and yes, a little bit less. Both of those at 28%.
Oh, wow.
The clear majority, basically the same as usual.
Really?
Yeah. So 45% are saying, I'm working the same as usual.
So what we've learned is a lot of people didn't manage their vacation time well.
That's correct.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, and a lot of the comments, we see here, Brenda says working all week like normal. Jackie says, I'm working less this week. Took Friday off, so that's kind of like what I'm doing. I won't be here Friday. Chris says, yep, and traffic is glorious this week. And Jamie says working plus overtime. So that may be a lot of people doing that too.
I was listening yesterday, driving home to Mark Reardon's show, and I meant to ask Mark Reardon to come in and do a quick crossover here, but I forgot to do that today. Mark, I was listening to Sue do traffic, and it's like there's one traffic problem on I-70, and everything else is clear.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much
one of the best things about working this week.
You got to love it.
If you're not remote, if you got to go to the office, The commute's great.
Well, Ryan Recker is going to be here for the next couple of days. I hope you have a wonderful new year. I appreciate you guys. You're always welcoming and helping me out. So you guys enjoy. Mark Reardon is on the other side with a great best of that you won't want to miss. It's the Annie Frey Show. My name is Mike Elam. It's been a pleasure spending the past couple of days with you. Thanks for listening to St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk.
Kick out the jams, kick up the soul, pour another glass of that rock and roll, turn up the band, find the hole, gonna lose control tonight. What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 800 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code 800. LumeDeodorant.com, code 800 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 800.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is